Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners Contest Committee to order Thursday, November 14th, 2024, a little bit after 5 p.m. I just want to, let's, if you could roll call, please.
Chair McNinch, Commissioner Booth, Commissioner Walther.
Here. Okay, and Commissioner Booth is en route, so we'll go ahead and get things moving so that we can talk about some of the expectations for this evening and perhaps get into our overview and things of that nature. So before we do get started, though, if we could do the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Walther, if you could lead us, please. Okay, so before we do get started, I want to let each and every one of you know how much I appreciate you being here. The weather's a little testy. I know that conversations like the one that we're going to have tonight are not always pleasant, not always straightforward. We all see things differently, and there's a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts in this room right now. And we're going to try to sift through some things, have a couple of presentations, and I do want to go over a couple of real quick cleanup things here. When we ask you for public comment, please make sure, if you're in the room, to sign on to the yellow cards over here so we have a record of you. For those of you who are on Zoom, please introduce yourself clearly so that we can get your name and attach it to the record. There is a sign in out front. If you haven't done so, please make sure that you sign in there. And then lastly, there are restrooms, and I believe that we would need to walk out of this door, and they're right outside of this one, but we would need to walk around this little area behind us, around the hallways. Just keep taking lefts, and I think that you'll find the restroom. So, Linda, did we cover those items that we need to? Okay. Okay. With respect, we'll get into the public comment period here in just a second. If you're an individual, we're going to allow 3 minutes tonight. If you're representing the position of an organization, we'll allow 6. Okay. We kind of experimented with allowing people to finish their comments and stuff at the last meeting. Things ran over a little bit too much, so you're going to have a hard cutoff tonight. Okay. So if you're on Zoom, you're going to be disconnected. If you have things to say, make sure you get them thrown out there. Same within the room here. I'm going to ask you to move away from the mic so that we can keep things moving. There's going to be lots of opportunity for comment tonight. You'll have at least three opportunities with respect to the contest stuff, and a couple of others more relevant to specific agenda items. The expectation is, when we do give our public comment, that we're all respectful of each other. That's an expectation. I expect you all to be respectful to each other. These are very emotional for everybody, these conversations, and I do expect a high level of decorum. Things aren't gonna go off the tracks tonight. We're gonna keep it right down the middle. Say what you need to say. We're gonna be respectful to each other. I ask that of you. I expect that of you. Stay within your time frames. Are there 2 mics up here? Okay. So when we start our public comment, please, let's not just wait for people to vacate the area. Let's kind of stage ourselves. I think we can fit 2 people up here, and we'll try to rotate through to help ourselves out time-wise a little bit. So please have a couple of you up here at a time. Doesn't matter if you're opposed or for, because we're going to have high level of decorum, so it won't matter. Let's see here. You'll have to excuse me. I walked off and left my glasses at home, so I'm squinting and everything's a little blurrier than normal, but we'll get through it. Please be succinct with your comments. If you've heard things already, It's certainly your prerogative to go over things, but I'm asking you in the name of respecting each other's times. If we've heard something over and over and over, maybe you don't have to get into it as deeply. And like I said, there will be several public comment opportunities, so just be respectful of each other's times. And if there's things that you need to say, please come up and say your piece. But if not, don't just occupy the podium because you can. So, all right. Is that fair enough, Craig? Anything else I need to touch on there? Okay. What's that? No rebuttal. Thank you. At the last meeting, we did rebuttals to the two presentations. I allowed the presenters to kind of rebut each other. That will not happen tonight, okay? So if there are rebuttals, we're going to have to deal with that as part of our public comment. That's fine, but we're not going to have a tit for tat up here like we did down in Vegas. That didn't go as well as we'd hoped it would. So turned into a little more of a challenge to maintain than we had hoped for. So, okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. We'll go to agenda item number 2, public comment period. Persons wishing to speak are requested to sign in. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the committee at this time. However, the committee may consider items brought up to be scheduled on a future committee agenda. Is there any public comment here in Reno? Okay. Seeing none, is there any public comment? Do we have, I'm sorry, excuse me, come on out if you, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gary Johansson. Every year I purchase a Nevada fishing and hunting license. I consider myself a sportsman. I'm opposed to wildlife killing contests in Nevada. It is senseless to shoot animals just for the so-called sport of it and for no other reason. There is not one state-level department in Nevada that recognizes coyote killing contests. And they're not coyote calling contests. Okay, the same way that gambling is not gaming. All right? Coyote killing contests are not a viable management tool. Not even Nevada's Department of Wildlife agrees with that. Coyote killing contests are not based on sufficient scientific data or necessary for any species survival. The Boone and Crockett Club addressed this issue in its 2011 position statement on animal welfare and conservation of living things. It states, all human hunting must be managed according to the best scientifically established data for the rich diversity of the entire biotic community. Coyote killing contests fail to meet this criteria. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gary. Go ahead, ma'am.
Over. Hi. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight regarding the wildlife killing contest. My name is Barry Levinson, and I'm representing the Sierra Club and its 40,000 members and supporters in Nevada. I'm also a retired physician. To be clear, Sierra Club is not opposed to regulated ethical hunting. In fact, many of our members are active hunters. However, Sierra Club is 100% opposed to all wildlife killing contests, where there is mass killing of wildlife for monetary awards, trophies, or just bragging rights. Our wildlife is already under tremendous strain due to human-induced causes. Habitat loss from the build-out of our homes and infrastructure is removing land that wildlife depend on to live. Wildlife is also struggling due to human-induced climate change, with increasing temperatures causing drought and fires and creating other challenges for animals simply to survive. We don't need to add to this strain by allowing recreational mass killing of wildlife. The Nevada Department of Wildlife agrees that these mass killings serve no useful wildlife management purpose, as they are ineffective in controlling predator populations. We know that when a lot of coyotes, for example, are killed, the remaining coyotes reproduce at a faster rate to compensate for the loss. Killing contests create instability and chaos in coyote family structure, which allows more coyotes to reproduce, encourages the immigration of outside coyotes seeking the space and resources, and can increase conflicts with livestock. And killing contests do nothing to increase population of game species such as deer. To be clear, banning killing contests would not ban the killing of problem predators. Ranchers and farmers would retain the right to kill predators that threaten their livestock. I have heard the argument from some that participate in killing contests that they enjoy these as a family event. I would propose an alternative family event that would be more healthy for both the community and the environment, such as a fun run, a skeet shooting competition, or a volunteer day to clean up a local park. We know that there are many sportsmen who oppose these contests, such as the gentleman who just spoke. These contests are a wanton waste, and they give Nevada and our ethical hunters a black eye. We strongly encourage the Wildlife Commission to do the right thing and ban these killing contests. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other public comment here in Reno? All right, if you do, please get your cards in and come on up to the table. Let's, okay.
Sorry about that. I was a little late getting here and getting my card in. My name's John Dameron. I'm just here, one of many, to say simply, I'm against the coyote contest. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah,
Hi.
please head on up if you, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yeah.
If you are gonna have public comment, please work your way up to the front. I don't want to string this along all night, so, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Anna Maria Ballstreet. I'm from Carson City. I have submitted my public comment already, which gives all the statistics that are vital to our state. Opinions and feelings are important, but numbers are not biased either way and depict a factual picture of the situation. Since last speaking to you a few months ago, Nevada has dropped to the bottom of a list, which is very important in predicting the future growth and success of our state. Nevada now has the highest unemployment rate of all 50 states in the country. Sure, thousands of people are moving to the state, mainly from California, but if you see the demographics of these people, a lot of them are retired and taking advantage of the cheaper standard of living here. While these people are indeed contributing to our economy, the state needs to attract young people if it wants to continue to grow and thrive. We need to create jobs if we want our own kids to stay here and convince other smart young people to move here. So when I read an article from the Reno Gazette from last year that stated that the greatest reason for the opposition to the indiscriminate slaughter of wild animals during the coyote killing contest was that it was, quote, part of the Nevada culture, I was shocked. The greatest percent of Nevada's GDP comes from tourism. It is a huge tax contributor to the state and provides hundreds of thousands of jobs and is growing. People from all over the country and all over the world come to spend their money here. It's mainly gambling, and Las Vegas and Reno are the big tickets. Now, I'm sure you remember what happened to the tuna industry when the public got to see all of the thousands of dolphins being butchered. People boycotted the tuna industry and stopped buying tuna until the problem was addressed. We have two massive organizations involved with these killing contests now. 10 million members just in one of them and 2 million in the other. And you certainly don't need to be a member of either of these groups to feel moved by the plight of these poor animals. Americans do not support these killing contests. That is why 8 of our western neighbors have already banned them. Now, your rebuttal may be that Idaho has not yet banned them, but clearly Idaho does not derive most of its income from tourists who have a choice of how to spend their money. We need to build our state and not destroy it from the inside out for a few select people who enjoy killing. It is incumbent on our elected and appointed officials to finally address this problem.
Ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Hello, I'm Ronnie Lehman. I'm for these hunting contests because I feel that if this law is passed, it will stop all contests with anything to do with the wildlife, including fishing tournaments, the big buck contests, the chucker contests, and getting a jackpot. You get to go to these tournaments and you get 50, 40 coyotes. And you can just go home and skin them. You don't have to waste all the money, the trappers don't, going out checking the traps, spending the time, the gasoline and stuff like that there to get them. So I feel that these animals don't go to waste. Wounded animals are found, the people will not leave them because that could, cost them their winning if they do win. So they will get out. Myself personally have tracked an animal for half an hour looking for this coyote that I know I wounded, and then found it and dispatched it as quick as possible. All right, they do not try to kill or wound an animal. They do not try to leave one. They always try to find it and kill it as soon as possible so it does not suffer. Most of the people that hunt these animals love the coyote. I mean, I always, feel blessed when I kill one. I feel bad when I kill it because I think coyotes are one of the most beautiful animals in the state. And then as for predatory, people say they don't kill deer, they don't kill calves. I've never seen one kill a calf, but I have seen coyotes kill fawns. I've seen coyotes kill baby antelope. I've seen coyotes take sage hen off their nests and kill the sage hen and eat the eggs. And now we're even fighting, trying to keep this sage hen. And I kind of agree at times that they should stop the hunting of sage hen, but then at times I don't, because we have that right. Another thing I feel is that this will set a
So
precedent.
that's your time.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bronwyn Schroeder. I'm from Battle Mountain, Nevada. Just to give you guys a little bit of background, I run for the last 10 years or so one of the biggest Northern Nevada coyote calling contest. I run the Save the Chucker contest. Just a little bit about economy. It impacts everybody, we understand this, but our local economy thrives when we have these contests. We do it once a year. It's the day after Thanksgiving. Last year, just to give you guys a couple numbers, last year we had 30 teams come in. That was approximately like 72 people total. Okay, we brought in 86 dogs. All right. That is roughly less than one dog per person, if you get down to it. Out of all those 70 that we had come in, people-wise, we had 41 that were out of state. California, Washington, Arizona, Idaho, Utah were some of the bigger numbers of people that came in. That's 56.94% of our contest entries came from other states to enjoy our local area. Battle Mountain, if you guys know anything about it, is small. We're 3,000 to 4,000 people. We have a few that come from Reno and Fallon, but the rest are from out of state. I polled some of the local businesses to see last year what they did. Just the Super 8 alone saw an uptake in 58% in revenue that weekend. Okay, more than normal at this time, even with it being a holiday weekend. The food, which is, our restaurants, Owl Club, Colt Casino, Hideaway, they saw anywhere between 25 and 38% uptake in their revenue with people coming in, staying the night. Groceries were a 38% uptake that weekend alone. And that wasn't just because it's after Turkey Day. Our local shops where we do our registration came in at 56% just in the one night that we did registration. I know that everybody is on about banning these, and we understand everything behind it, but as a sportsman, as a hunter, we're the biggest conservators of wildlife, and we want to maintain it. And as far as the economy goes, it helps our small towns. It takes care of us, and it helps get us through smaller areas. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
My name is Dixie Hewitt, and I'm gonna read. My papa raises 7,000 head of cattle. If me and my dad stop coyote hunting, there will be a lot less cattle. If you ban coyote competitions, me and my dad will hardly have any time having fun together. Coyote hunting is very special to me because I get to have fun and get to spend time with my family. When I drive past my papa's feedlot, there is at least 10 or so cows that have wounded legs and sheep that can hardly move due to coyotes attacking them. There is nothing wrong with the way I live my life and the things I have to do to protect my family's livestock.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Jeffrey, and I'm going to talk about why coyote hunting is important to me. I've always had fun doing it. This is what most of my bonding time has been with my family, is trapping and coyote hunting. And they put on a very big coyote derby in my hometown, Tonopah, for our rodeo team. And they need to protect all their animals out there at the livestock. That these contests remove the coyotes from the landscape, and it gives every single other species on the landscape, better chances of survival, from rabbits and squirrels to deer, elk, even feral horses. Participating in these events is something I enjoy, and it's not wrong for me to do it either. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Taylor. I'm a Washoe County resident. And I just wanted to point out, although I'm not doing the tit for tat thing, that the killing contests have nothing to do with hunting, and you can still hunt coyotes and you can still protect your animals. One of the things that I find particularly offensive isn't so much the hunting of the coyote as it is that we are inviting people from other states, from all over, to needlessly kill a natural resource just for contest money. There was a gentleman in Salt Lake City who was bragging about on Facebook that he sent 2 kids to college because he was able to come into Nevada and help wipe out our wildlife. So those are the kinds of things that are very offensive to me as a Nevadan, and those coyotes belong to me also. Thank you.
How's it going? My name is Bryce. Bryce Screen. I'm here with my wife, Bella, and we're from Kingston, Nevada, small town, about 100 people. I'm gonna get right into it because of the limited time. I like to make arguments logically and cohesively without feelings involved. So when I sat down to write this speech, I thought to myself, how can I use reasoning and logical argumentation to convey my point? During this process, I realized something. That is not what our opponent is doing. Every point our opponent has made and will make tonight has been a subjective appeal to emotion. At the end of the day, our opposition has a strong desire to not only ban coyote competitions, whether they're willing to admit it or not, but a desire to outright ban coyote hunting as a whole. This is made clear by navigating to the homepage of wildearthguardians.org, which is one of the anti-hunting, anti-trapping groups, which says, quote, "No more killing of native carnivores," end quote, with a picture of a coyote in a trap. Any regulation of these said competitions is but a stepping stone to a desired final outcome, which is a complete ban on for coyote hunting as a whole. As hunters, we do not see this only as a threat to our freedoms to hunt coyotes in a competitive fashion, but also as an infringement upon our hunting rights. As I previously stated, our opponent has continued to and will only continue to make subjective appeals to emotion, and through tugging on your heartstrings, they hope to change your mind. But never have we as a state or nation created legislation, or should we never create legislation based solely on emotion. We've all heard the saying, err on the side of caution. Well, we as Nevadans and Americans have a civil duty and a moral ought to err on the side of freedom. As cliche as it may sound, this is constitutionally true. Article 1, Section 1 of the Nevada State Constitution says, all men are by nature free and equal and have certain inalienable rights, among which of those are enjoying and defending life and liberty. There is absolutely no way that the subjective emotional appeals made by those who simply dislike what we are doing should have any say or hold any weight against our inalienable rights to enjoy and defend our freedoms and liberty, which includes coyote hunting competitions. This is about more than just coyote hunting competitions. This is about our fundamental pursuit of liberty and happiness, which should never be infringed by those who refuse to understand or accept a way of life different from their own. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Commissioners. How are you guys? My name's Andrew Hewitt. My daughter is Dixie. We have a way of life in Northern Nevada. Some may argue the way of life of Nevada to be this way. We're sportsmen. We're wild conservationists. We go out, we hunt, we fish, we camp, we spend time with our kids. 99% of my time is spent in the field with my kids. That doesn't mean that I'm a bad guy for the way I live. What it comes down to is we have a way of life that is livestock based. It's oriented, protecting our families, working in the mines, being on the ranches, whatever you do in Northern Nevada. My father-in-law has been on a ranch up in Northern Nevada, Kings River Ranch, for a better part of since 1993, actually. So they run around 7,000 head of cattle up there. I spent a lot of nights up there with the cowboys hunting coyotes, whether it be coyote contests or hunting coyotes to eliminate as many as we possibly can from that area. We have to protect our cattle. We have to protect our sheep. It has become an issue with the antis not liking what we do. At the end of the day, that kid's right. This is the first step into getting their foot in the door, into eliminating all competitions, all coyote hunting, all derbies, all chucker hunts. This is the first step. This is what we need. The state of Nevada, the people of Nevada, we need our wildlife commissioners to stand up and say, this has been in state legislation twice, and it's been opposed and gone. How many times have you guys looked at this and we haven't had to do anything with it, opposed and gone? How many dollars are we going to spend of Nevada taxpaying dollars to continue to go down this street? This is when we need our commissioners, our wildlife commissioners, to stand up and say, this is done. It's a mute issue. We're not looking at it next year. We're not looking at it in 2 years. Get your petitions off the table. We're done with this. This is when we stand up and say enough's enough. You guys represent us, the state of Nevada. I know there's opinions on both sides, but this has nothing to do with wildlife conservation. A coyote hunt has nothing to do with wildlife conservation. This isn't even a decision you guys should be making. That's all I have.
Hi, my name is Bella. I'm here with my husband Bryce, and we're from Kingston, Nevada. I may not be as articulate as some of the others that have spoken, but I want to say that I do believe in the competitions do a lot more good than bad. My husband and I are originally from Las Vegas. When he told me that he wanted to do a coyote hunt for the first time, my immediate reaction was, but they're so cute. And it's true, the coyotes are cute, but that doesn't mean that they aren't pests. This has become especially apparent since my husband and I moved to Kingston. Even in the first few months, we had multiple neighbors and their cats and chickens killed by coyotes. It's become a lot easier to justify these competitions when you've seen your favorite neighborhood cat torn to shreds or your own chickens ripped to pieces because you forgot to close the door to the main coop for one night. Regardless of what the anti-hunters are saying about these competitions not making a difference, you can rest assured from those who have actually experienced these coyotes firsthand, they do. Not only that, but since I've been starting doing these competitions with my husband, we've met a lot of really amazing people who are not evil like the antis want to make it seem. These are normal people, a lot of them from rural areas who just want to have a good time and doing a good thing. And yes, I said it, killing a coyote is a good thing. Its true population might bounce back every year, but the people in our town look forward to these hunting competitions because of the temporary relief from the coyote pressure. You either pick the coyote or you pick the chicken, the cow, the donkey, the bunny rabbit, the house rat, or even your own dog. It's one or the other. You can't have both unless you live in the big cities like most of these aunties in this room. They care more about the coyotes than they do us. Our well-being, our freedom, and our animals. Thank you.
Hi, mine's real short. My name's Valerie Anderson. I've heard that proponents think that killing contests are a great way to get kids involved in hunting, but do we really want them to start with mass killings? With school shootings happening every day, do we really want to encourage that type of hunting where the thrill is the kill? Wouldn't it be better for families to spend time with your kids outdoors, teaching them how to make a clean shot, how to harvest a deer to feed your family? No one is eating killing contest kills, and research shows that it's not an effective predator control. So in many cases, again, I think there's really not a lot of sport in the killing contests with all the high-tech devices and electronic collars baiting, high-powered scopes and rifles. And, you know, at least 10 states have banned them. And I don't believe that it is the first step to banning all hunting and stopping everything. Those are just scare tactics. So I just really think that, do we really want the image of Nevada to be hundreds of coyote carcasses in a dumpster? I mean, I've heard from some people that say that they do use them, but a lot of them are so maimed and so, you know, that they can't be used for taxidermy mounts, and they can't be used for, you know, they're definitely not for good eating. So I just don't think it's a good optic for Nevada. It's unethical and it's unsportsmanlike.
Me? Anybody else in Reno public comment? If you think you're going to speak, I need you to get up here. I'm going to move on to other folks online. Thanks, Joel.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, Joel Blakeslee speaking for myself. So far, we've heard a bunch of testimony about banning contests. Is there a petition on the table to ban contests? Is that what we're having this meeting for? I ask that question because that's what this is devolving into. And we had a petition at the last one and it was withdrawn. So what are we doing here? I mean, if we don't have a petition, I think we ought to just get up and leave. So anyway, this costs people time and money. I've sat through hundreds of these things in the last 45 years. And I've heard the same thing over and over and over again at the legislature and at the Wildlife Commission. This just provides a platform for negativity and cultural bigotry. There's a process through the county advisory board system to hear these things. And every time it comes up, the county advisory boards almost entirely oppose this type of stuff. The legislature has opposed it twice, as recently as in the last session. We've heard it here at the Wildlife Commission. How many times do we have to do this? I'm 70 years old and I've heard it time and time and time again. So I just like you to ask that question. I mean, do we have a petition to outlaw coyote contests here? Is that what we're doing today? Thank you.
Chair, we have one speaker at the moment. If you could just remind people to use their first and last name before public comment.
Yes, thank you. Well, you've heard Linda. Please provide your first and your last name so that we have it for the record. And I believe everybody's signed in, so we'll cross-reference the best we can, but it's much easier if we just get it on the front end here. So, who else, do we have just Zoom? Do we have anybody from Vegas or anything? Are we tapped into Vegas here or Elko?
We have Jeff on his iPhone. You have the mic, Jeff. Go ahead and please identify yourself.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Dixon. I'm a Reno resident. I identify as a mutualist, according to the American Wildlife Values Survey. Hopefully you're all familiar with that. We are the plurality of Nevadans, so we have a say contrary to what some folks here think. This is a public agency, and I oppose these contests for reasons I've stated before. I know we've been here for many years, and it seems like we're just waiting to get the votes. Either the commission, if they can find the courage to finally do what their counterparts have done in multiple other states in prohibiting these activities, or the legislature. Unlike other ethics activities that the commission continually monitors and regulates, this one in particular has taken so long because we mutualists are involved, and it's a threat to the claim over the agency that the hunters and, well, not even the hunters, but some of these fringe groups think that they have a domain over this agency. It's a public agency. Whenever I pay my taxes or whenever I say buy ammunition, that money goes back into this agency, and I don't even hunt. So I want to remark that, while humankind can claim hunting as part of its natural heritage, we can't. The only historical parallel we have with these contests is the kind of mass kill, these exterminationist measures that some of our ancestors took when they come to this continent. And the ethics regimes that came up in the early part of last century was a response to the kind of wanton take and just reckless killing and not conservation minded types of activities that they needed to put an end to because they drove so many species into extinction. So it's ironic that we're here arguing about doing something that these are our ethics models were designed to prevent. So one way or another, this is going to get done. Hopefully the commissioners see themselves as trustees and not delegates and are willing to go beyond the narrow-minded kind of crybabies that we have out there that are trying to hold on to these things with no scientific basis to it. You have livestock insurance. You can kill these things anytime you want. Wildlife Services kills about 3,000 of these animals a year. It's just ridiculous that we're still here. But I appreciate Commissioner.
All right, thank you. Anybody else, Linda?
Go ahead, please, Katie.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
We can hear you.
Great. Good evening. My name is Katie Nolan. I'm the Wild Animals Campaigner in Defense of.
Katie, if you can hear us, we lost you for a second, so hold up.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, we can hear you again.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good evening. Again, my name is Katie Nolan. I'm the Wild Animals Campaigner in Defense of Animals. We're a nonprofit organization with around 2,000 supporters in Nevada. I'm speaking in support of the Humane Society's petition to ban.
All right, please. I'm sorry, Katie, go ahead.
I'm speaking in support of the Humane Society's petition to ban coyote killing contests. Arguments claiming a slippery slope are irrelevant here and distract from the facts. These contests are separate from regulated hunting, and banning killing contests does not threaten other ways of life. It does not impede on other types of hunting coyotes. Coyote killing contests send a harmful message that these animals lack value. In addition, these contests are inhumane, they're unethical, and they're ineffective for population control. They actually have the opposite effect. Mass killing of native carnivores disrupts ecological balance, which destabilizes populations rather than regulating them. In conclusion, I urge you to consider and ultimately support HSUS's proposed petition to ban wildlife killing contests. Thank you so much for your time and for hearing all of these comments.
Thank you. Anybody else, Linda? Okay.
Go ahead, please, Jane.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Jane Grossman. I'm a resident of Reno, Nevada. And doing some research, I found some information and that we've heard a few times tonight, that these contests really don't control the population, and that coyotes are here for a reason. They're part of a healthy ecosystem, and they control disease transmission. They keep rodent populations in check. Hantavirus is on the rise, and the coyotes help lessen that. They clean up dead animals, and they increase biodiversity. I think messing with nature the way the coyotes contests do is harmful for the overall environment, and I would support a ban on these contests. And I do want to recognize that it is a good economic source for some of our rural counties, and I hope they can find other ways to bring money into their communities. But coyote contests should not be those. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the question has been posed. We've been receiving some written comment. And the question was, do we read that into the record? And the answer is no, we will not be. If folks want to make comment in public, then they're more than welcome to. There's plenty of opportunities today. We will maintain those documents as part of the record for the meeting, but they'll be provided for the public to see and for us to see, but we're not going to read those into the record. Okay. Anybody else online? Are we Zoom? Okay, very good. Okay, with that, we will move on to agenda item number 3. Approval of agenda. Committee Chairman Dave McNinch. The committee will review the agenda and may take action to approve the agenda. The committee may remove items from the agenda, continue items or consideration for consideration, or take items out of order. As the committee, have we had a chance to look at our agenda? I mean, everybody, okay. Any comments on it? Okay. Okay. Before we do that, seeing none, this is an action item, so we will take it out to public comment. Any public comment on approval of agenda here in Reno? In person? Okay, seeing none. Linda, anybody online? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the committee and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Agenda item number 4, approval of minutes. Committee Chairman Dave McNinch. The committee may take action to approve the committee minutes from the September 26, 2024 meeting. I will tell you that they're verbatim minutes. They're long. I did not look at the whole set of minutes. So I would abstain if you guys are comfortable moving forward. If you have any questions or comments, I'm asking for those now.
I was in the airport for part of it and then got on a flight to Vegas. So I looked at the portions I was there for and didn't notice any discrepancies.
Okay. All right. I'm going to be leaving this up to you guys. So any further comment here at the table or?
The motion is
Okay, Eddie, I'm going to take it out to public comment. It is an action item. Is there any public comment on the approval of minutes in person here in Reno? Okay, seeing none. Any comment online? Okay, so now I'll bring it back to the committee. If you guys are comfortable with the minutes, then I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our September Coyote contest meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to accept and a second. I will abstain today since I didn't get a chance to read those all the way through. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, any opposed? No, and one abstention for me. So motion does pass. Okay, agenda item number 5, member items. Announcements and correspondence. Commissioners may present emergent items. No action may be taken by the committee. Any item requiring committee action may be scheduled on a future committee agenda. Committee will review and may discuss correspondence sent or received by the committee since the last regular meeting and may provide copies for the exhibit file. Commissioners may provide hard copies of their correspondence for the written record. Correspondence sent or received by the department may also be discussed. Okay. Do members have any member items or announcements or correspondence?
I don't think anything that wasn't.
Okay, all right. So I will try to be as succinct as I can here. I was provided, and I cannot find a copy of it. There was an article written in the Rolling Stone magazine, the Rolling Stone magazine, that did mention Nevada with respect to these wildlife contests, these killing contests. It largely focused on Texas, but it did mention Nevada specifically. I don't remember who sent that to me or how I ended up with it. I couldn't find it today. I was going to bring it in. I will provide that since it was since I was made aware of it, and I'll make sure to get that for the record. So there was that. I did receive a copy of a letter from the written by Kitty Block with HSUS, Humane Society of the United States, and attached to that, there was a link to that to the survey that's been mentioned, Nevada Public Opinion Survey. That's the one that's been mentioned at the meeting in Vegas, and I'm sure we'll hear more about it tonight. I've given Commissioner Walther and Commissioner Booth a copy of that, as well as a copy to Linda for the record. So those are in there. And there was also a substantial number of emails sent through the department. And I do want to take 1 second and a couple of comments on that. These all roll through Linda, and Linda puts those together for us, sends them out to us. So we do receive everything that comes in, and Linda responds to each and every one of those individually so that people know that they've got them. So I very much appreciate you doing that, your effort. I'm not sure that there's anything that would require her to do that, but that is above and beyond, and I appreciate that you do that. I think that people appreciate hearing and knowing that their comments were received. If you know of people that are sending comments, there are times where they think Linda is the root issue here, that the issue centers around her, and there are times where she takes a little bit of a beating. So spread the word. Back off Linda, okay? Linda's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, having to deal with these things. So give Linda a break, and if you know people that are going after Linda, tell them to back it off. It's not necessary. They need to deal with us. So thank you, Linda. So with that, we did receive right at 200 emails. Those have been included in the record. I don't have a count of how many against, how many for. This is current, clear up until here, just a little before the meeting started here. So we'll try to provide a better count on that tomorrow. So anything else I need to address, Linda, you can think of? Anybody over here? Okay. All right. So with that, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, committee overview. Okay, well, there was a question asked, is a petition on the table, and the answer is no. There's no petition on the table. How we got here. This has been an issue of conversation for a number of years now, and it didn't just start, the last 8 or 9 years, which is really where it's been pretty continuous since then. This has been something that's come up and gone away and on and off for a very long time. In March of this year, there was a petition submitted by the Humane Society of the United States. That petition was pulled at the meeting, and I will be the first to tell you that I advocated for them to do so pursuant to our policies. If we have a petition that's not going to be accepted, that's not accepted, it could be 5 years before they're able to present that again. And I'm not sure if folks were aware of that, and I hate it when people are blindsided or don't understand how that system works. So I suggested that they pull the petition in an effort to, I didn't think it would be fair for them to have that disappear for 5 years, not knowing that that's what could happen. So they did. And as a result of that, The chair of the commission, at the time, Chairman Cavilla, he stood up a committee. He assigned a committee to look into these contests again. Okay. And there's been no specific direction on where we're going. Okay. I had my thoughts and my ideas on where we should go. It was not reasonable. The department was expressing concerns with the amount of time that it would take to do what I was proposing to do, which was to just go around across the state and touch base, similar to what we've done with mule deer bulletins type stuff. It was not realistic. It's too labor intensive, too many resources, too much time, and to what end? We didn't have a clear direction on where we were going. So we've done the next best thing that we could, which is to have a meeting in Vegas, have a meeting here, and it's our intent to have a meeting in Elko prior to the January meeting. It's been very difficult to get our meetings set up. These things take time. It's a big train that has to be moved. They don't turn on a dime. So we're doing the best we can to get through these. For lack of a better way of putting it, right now we're a glorified public comment period. Okay. To provide opportunity for people to express their concerns, make their defense, whatever the case may be, so that we're not doing this at the commission level for the next 3, 4, 5 commission meetings. Okay, so we can tend to other business at those. So that's what this committee is doing. We've been taking notes on suggestions, ideas, thoughts that could be used to extend conversations. It's very binary. People tend to be for or against. There's not a lot of room in the middle for compromise, it doesn't appear. There are people in this room on both sides of the issue that have had communication with each other, and I said it down in Vegas. I appreciate you guys trying to find a way through this by having conversations, regardless of how superficial. I appreciate that you guys have made an attempt to open those doors for each other. So they just not a lot of pathways forward at this point in time. So this is our second meeting. Nothing proposed to date. At the September meeting, there's a little more urgent. I felt a little more in the need to. There was a proposal. There was some comment that had come out that I had proposed some language. That language did not come from me. It wasn't proposed by me. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that, as set in my position as I am, I'm doing the best I can to maintain an open thought on ways forward. I have not proposed anything to anybody at this time. I have asked proponents for a ban, I've asked opponents to a ban, and I've asked the department to share their ideas and their thoughts on possible ways forward. I've done that, but none of that has come out into some kind of a proposal, anything like that. There's just ideas that have been on the table, and so that's kind of where we stand. I want to make sure everybody understands that, trying to be as transparent as we can here. That's it for my overview. Commissioner Walter, Commissioner Booth, did you have anything you wanted to add? No. Okay. All right. So with that, So with that, we will move on to agenda item number 7, presentation public comment allowed. The committee will hear presentations from Nevada Predator Hunters Association / Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife and the Humane Society of the United States on coyote calling contests. The committee may ask questions and or discuss coyote calling contests, but no action will be taken by the committee. We will allow public comment. So these, we will do our best. I've been advised to provide as equal a form as possible. These presentations differ in length, and I have talked with George and I have talked with Rebecca, and I think that they both understand that it's my full intent, and has been the whole time, to make sure that everybody gets an equal billing here, equal time, equal thoughts. So we'll play those by ear as we go along, but I've committed to them that there will be a fair playing field and appropriate time. I don't remember who went first in Vegas. Okay, okay. Okay, all right. So, we'll go through our presentations. I felt like I had one more thing I wanted to touch about, but, I think that gets us through. Okay. Oh, yes, there was one small thing. So, Rebecca's, presentation has there's a portion, that she is going to skip over at the, advisement of council. There's some foul language in it, that would be inappropriate for a public meeting. So I don't want people to think that she's trying to hide something by skipping over it. It's just, we're just trying to, be respectful of the fact that we're in the public forum. So, we're going to try to bounce over that. And, with that, whenever you're ready, Rebecca.
Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Rebecca Goff, and I'm the Nevada State Director for the Humane Society of the United States and a proud Nevadan. I'm here today to restate our request for the Board of Wildlife Commissioners to end wildlife killing contests in Nevada. The image you see here is from one of our 2023 investigations of 2 wildlife killing contests in Reno and Fallon. Because there's been so much misinformation and fear-mongering about the proposed ban going around, I feel that we need to repeat exactly what we mean when we say wildlife killing contests. We are specifically talking about only the organized events in which participants compete for cash and prizes for killing the most, the largest, or even the smallest animals within a specified time period, usually 1 or 2 days. In a moment, I will be sharing some video footage and examples of wildlife killing contests in Nevada that illustrate the hatred and contempt that seems to be reserved primarily for coyotes targeted in these contests. You can see some other examples here in these pictures from contests from Virginia. The license plates and signs on the trucks read Yodi Hater, Killin' Yodi, Coyote Taxi, and Coyote Hearse. There are an estimated 15 to 20 contests every year in Nevada, and this is just a sampling of some of the recent ones. As you can also see, this is not just a northeastern Nevada thing. They are held across the state, even around our urban areas of Reno and Las Vegas. Obviously, this is not just a rural issue. And while we hear a lot about coyotes, who are a native species to Nevada, coyotes are not the only victims of these contests. Bobcats, foxes, raccoons, ring-tailed badgers, and beavers have also been targeted. One thing all these contests have in common is that the primary objective is to kill wildlife for cash and prizes within a specified time period. This is another image from our 2023 investigation at the 9th Annual Coyote Bar in the 9th Annual Coyote Ball at the Wayside Bar in Reno. The day after my presentation at the previous contest committee on September 26th, there was a comment from the Board of Wildlife Commissioners that they needed to see more science on this issue. But we have provided all of that for you over and over again. Each time in our presentations and our written statements in March and in September, we presented a long list of peer-reviewed science and government data backing up our statements. So far, our opposition has only provided stories and emotional pleas. Yet we continue to be told, despite all evidence to the contrary, that what we've seen and heard in front of us is that both sides have presented equally salient arguments, and it's just too difficult to make a decision yet. It is well established that wildlife killing contests in Nevada do not achieve any science-based wildlife management objective. Instead, they are held for the sole purpose of killing animals for the entertainment and the chance at cash and prizes. Our petition for rulemaking had included page after page of peer-reviewed science in support of a ban on wildlife killing contests. In the September 26th meeting of the committee, I once again provided you with a written version of those studies, and I highlighted them in my PowerPoint. Studies show the inefficiency of killing coyotes and other carnivores in an attempt to boost numbers of a game species like deer or elk. They point out that access to good habitat and nutrition are far more important to the survival of the species. And research and studies and reports find that preemptive removal of coyotes in an attempt to protect livestock does not work, and recommend more effective and economical non-lethal preventative measures like good fencing, guard animals, and other responsible animal husbandry practices. The University of Oregon Extension also cites USDA data finding that killing coyotes actually increases conflicts. And it has been established long ago that randomly killing coyotes increases their population. That fact is widely accepted. And just recently, a new study was released reiterating that hunting coyotes increases their numbers. This again supports our position that random killing of coyotes is not sound wildlife management. I don't know how much more science I can give you because the evidence is clear. Wildlife killing contests have nothing to do with what sound wildlife management. Further, social science is also science. And in the landmark America's Wildlife Values Project study in recent years, researchers identified Americans as holding 4 value types. The 2 main types are traditionalists, who believe that wildlife should be used and managed for the benefit of humans, and mutualists, who believe humans and animals should coexist. The study found that about 22% of Nevada's population are traditionalists, while 44% of the population are mutualists. This tells us that Nevadans increasingly care about wildlife. The Commission also acknowledged the lack of science behind these contests as far back as 2016 in its document titled Draft Wildlife Contest Policy, which the Commission ultimately rejected. It admits, the wildlife management profession does not generally recognize the use of contests as a tool with substantial wildlife management effect. Instead, the Commission says wildlife killing contests traditionally are used to encourage participation, recruit participants, and provide a social contest in wildlife recreation. But as we stated in our petition to the Commission in February of 2024, growing public outrage over these events, recent actions to prohibit them by states across the U.S., and the scientific evidence that we have provided for you again and again all point to the fact that the state of Nevada can no longer justify the continuation of this activity simply to recruit hunting participation and provide an opportunity for social interaction. Now, as I said, the Commission did end up rejecting this draft policy in 2016, but I think it merits another look, if for no other reason than to see what types of killing contests that the Commission proposed it would support. They'd be contests that focus on the ethical, personal skill necessary to the contest. Although I wonder if the skill that they're referring to is the use of electronic calling devices that mimic the sounds of coyotes and fox prey or young in distress to lure them out for a shot, as well as the use of night vision and thermal imaging devices. Is that the use of ethical and personal skill? The draft policy would also support contests that encourage participation in wildlife-related activities and outdoor traditions that follow all relevant wildlife laws, regulations, and ordinances, and that adhere to the principles of the North American model of wildlife conservation. As you recall in my last presentation, I did outline how killing contests in Nevada openly violate several tenets of the North American model, and contests that encourage respect for wildlife pursued, attention to the traditions exercised, and enjoyment of wildlife resources. So as far as the encouraging of wildlife is pursued, I'm sure you recall the video that I showed at the September presentation. I will not be showing that today because that is the video that contained foul language, but I think it was a clear example of showing that these contests do not encourage respect for the wildlife pursued. Then the Commission's draft policy went on to say that it does not support contests that glorify the death of wildlife through insensitive photographs, inappropriate behaviors, or contests that simply enumerate take, intentionally violate wildlife laws, or intentionally conceal inadvertent violations of wildlife law, do not use all parts and edible portions of the wildlife taken, and they're blatantly disrespectful to the wildlife being pursued. So let's take a closer look at these. I'll preface this by reminding you that in 2016, Nevada wildlife activists pointed all of this out and were ignored. And I will add that there has already been plenty of evidence of all of this in countless social media photos, videos, and statements. But for the purpose of this presentation, I'm only going to be focusing on HSUS's 2 investigations last year of the Nevada killing contests in Reno. At the check-in contest of the contest in Reno, a participant gleefully explained the blood will flow as it ran into the gutter. Fallon contest participants competed to kill the greatest weight of 4 animals killed, the biggest coyote, the smallest coyote, and the lucky loser. And Reno contest participants killed the most, the largest, and the smallest coyote. At the contest in Fallon and Reno, participants told HSUS investigators that they would be killing animals on Federal Bureau of Land Management lands in Nevada even though the contest did not have a permit to do so. In Fallon, participants said he killed 3 coyotes, but was not able to retrieve the bodies because they were stuck in deep mud. And again, in Fallon, a participant said he used thermal imaging scope to kill a coyote who was just 12 pounds. He called the coyote a coyweenie and said the coyote was an effing itty-bitty son of a B word. He said the coyote was right underneath him and looking right at him. He smiled and imitated shooting a coyote at very close range. He said it was like shooting an effing weenie dog. And as you've seen in my previous presentation, when another participant was asked why he was there, he said, being able to shoot as many as I effing want, and because the itch to kill something is better than people. So in November of 2016, the commission voted 6-3 to abandon that policy. It also ignored a packed room of Nevada wildlife advocates who implored them to advance an actual ban on wildlife killing contests. Since then, about 8 years ago, the commission has failed to take any meaningful action on this issue, despite rapidly growing public opposition. Now, I'd like to share more footage from this investigation of the Nevada contest. I'd like you to watch closely, and if you'd be so kind as to point out the parts that encourage respect for wildlife pursuit and don't glorify the death of wildlife through the insensitive photographs, inappropriate behaviors, or that simply enumerate take.
I want my white one. Is it him or that guy? Yeah, it is that one. Gotta be thinking. Hey, you sure you want your dog? All right.
It just seems like every one that we do, that it's all different rules that they use.
Got people cheating by leaving them, that's why we took them. And if we have a stipulation about that,
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah. Yeah, me too. You know.
Pretty heavy.
Fucking warm. We had 3 more last night, but we couldn't get them.
Yeah.
They downed, but in the mud.
They downed?
Yeah, like fucking just keep them up.
Oh, they just went down and then that was it.
Yeah, we shot them and then couldn't track them. So.
By the time we were able to possibly get to them, it would have been too late. It had already been solid, frozen.
It was over an hour. Yeah, it was a triple though. It was good.
Let's be perfectly honest here. These contests do nothing but simply enumerate take. That's the only reason these killing contests exist, for the enumeration of dead animals so that cash and prizes can be awarded, period. In order to accumulate registration fees that will be distributed as prizes, killing contest organizers advertise the contest date and time, the registration fee, the prizes that are being offered, the categories for those prizes, and any betting raffles that are allowed. It's all about the big payout, the gambling on the side bets, gun raffles, and Calcutta betting, and the trophies. They then determine the categories for the prizes, as you can see, for the big dog and little dog or small dog. In other contests, you see the same for bobcats, the big cat and little cat. The primary objective by the public to wildlife killing contests, and the primary reason they have been banned in 10 states so far, is that they offer cash and prizes for the killing of wildlife. It's an affront to the values of most Americans, to the long-standing principles of ethical hunting, and to the second tenet of the North American wildlife conservation that says commerce in dead wildlife is eliminated. And to be clear, because they are about nothing more than cash and prizes, attempting to license or somehow regulate these contests is pointless and would accomplish nothing. And just last month, Rolling Stone magazine, a cultural institution that reaches more than 60 million people worldwide each month across multiple platforms, published a shocking expose of wildlife killing contests in the United States, featuring footage from our recent investigations of the Nevada killing contests. While the article also focused on the cruel nature of the contests, it ended by highlighting their most important objective, the cash and prizes. as stated by the owner of the company called Smoke 'em Up Outdoors, which sponsored a Texas contest called the SEO Varmint Roundup, there's a lot of money involved. Once again, this underscores that all we are asking for is a ban on the offering of cash and prizes for the killing of Nevada's native wildlife. In 2022, National Geographic also published a landmark expose exposing wildlife killing contests. Unlike the recent Rolling Stone article, it ends by reinforcing the true objective of killing contests, the big cash payout. In this case, more than $2,000 for the winner who killed the most and the heaviest coyotes. As a quick reminder, the Catskills contest referenced in this article is no longer legal. That's because New York, which was among the states with the largest number of wildlife killing contests in the nation, banned them just last year. And yet again, all we're asking for is a ban on the offering of cash and prizes for the killing of Nevada's native wildlife. This is strongly supported by the American public. In the 2022, the respected bipartisan Remington Research Group surveyed 1,000 likely general election voters and found that 80% of Americans surveyed were opposed to wildlife killing contests, and only 14 of those were in support. And right here in Nevada, just 5 months ago, they asked Nevada voters if they supported or opposed the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners banning wildlife killing contests in their state. 71% said they supported the Board of Wildlife Commissioners banning wildlife killing contests in their state. The question focused on public trust doctrine, and all 4 of Nevada's congressional districts were strongly in favor of the board banning wildlife killing contests. Both Republicans and Democrats were strongly in favor of the board banning them, with the nonpartisan at a solid 60%. Both females and males were in support. And note, those identifying as very conservative agreed even more than those who considered themselves somewhat conservative that the Board of Wildlife Commissioners should ban wildlife killing contests. And a new study survey from the Animal Human Policy Center at Colorado State University found that more than 78% of Americans polled support a federal law banning wildlife killing contests, and nearly 82% of those polled supported a statewide ban on wildlife killing contests. So to wrap up, as we said last spring, there is overwhelming scientific and public support for the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissioners to ban wildlife killing contests in our state. There is ample precedent for this. As you can see on this map, 10 states that have banned wildlife killing contests so far, as well as those states that are currently considering it. And again, every one of these states banned just the offering of cash and prizes for killing coyotes and other wildlife species. That's all. It had nothing to do with hunting, nothing to do with lethal predator control of problem animals. And neither does our proposed rule. It only focuses on the offering of cash and prizes for the killing of wildlife. In our February 2024 position, we pointed out that this rule would not in any way reduce opportunities to hunt coyotes or other wildlife species, or affect seasons or bag limits, prevent anyone from protecting livestock, property, or people using lethal control, prohibit the shooting of coyotes in the name of predator control, ban big buck competitions, fishing derbies, chucker contests, or field dog trials, or prevent anyone from donating to a charitable organization directly, patronizing a local bar or restaurant to support the establishment economically, or gathering with a few friends to shoot coyotes as part of tradition. It would not in any way do any of these things at all. We don't know how to be more emphatic about this. And yet the board continues to cater to the spurious claims of opponents that we will somehow prevent any of these things. It will not. Finally, the board has also continued to assert that we need to find a middle ground to move forward. But we, the people of Nevada, the vast majority of whom only want a ban on the offering of prizes for the killing of our state's native wildlife, we are the middle ground. This is the middle. Not banning the hunting of these species or the culling and the killing of those species. Only the banning the offering of cash and prizes for the killing of Nevada's wildlife in organized contests. That's it. That is all. That is the middle. I was asked in March at the commission meeting, what's changed? Clearly, despite all this evidence presented to you, nothing has changed. The commission continues to drag this out. The facts, studies, and science remain, and as new science is introduced over the years, it continues to further support the need to ban wildlife killing contests. This issue will not go away simply because no action is taken, and continuing to kick the can down the road and ignore the growing public opinion opposition to these killing contests is no longer acceptable. I urge the committee to take action, respect the will of Nevadans, and advance a proposal to ban, to the whole board, to ban wildlife killing contests in our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Is Commissioner Walther, Commissioner Booth, anybody have any questions? Okay. I'm going to ask you a few more questions tonight. So Rebecca, you've heard the concerns from sportsmen about the slippery slope. You've addressed some of my stuff already in your presentation, but how do you respond to the concern of the slippery slope? I mean, it's you know, there are websites that post this is phase 1 of phase 6 to get rid of things and to do certain things, whether it be trapping or whatever the case might be. How do you respond to that slippery slope argument?
I can only speak for my organization, and we're not proponents of that. You can go to our website and you can see that we don't even have an official stance on hunting. We are specifically focused on the most cruel treatment of animals. And this specific issue is inhumane and cruel, and it violates even the tenets that hunters say that they value and hold. And that is why we are advocating for a ban.
You kind of addressed the compromise aspect. I've had these conversations with everybody involved several times. So just for clarification, I want to make it loud and clear. What you would propose, do you consider it a compromise? Yes or no?
I do. As you even mentioned, there are other organizations that support animals, that support wildlife protection, predator protection, that would prefer to have no predators killed. We are not proposing that. As I said in the presentation, we are only asking for a ban on the organized contests and the cash and prizes for the killing of wildlife. People can still shoot and kill coyotes as they feel they need to protect their property, to protect their livestock. We even mentioned in the presentation if it's just part of tradition. We are simply asking for the end to the cash and prizes and the contest.
Okay, I think that's some of these I'm not sure we're going to be able to get answers to tonight, but okay. If you guys don't have any questions at this point, we'll move on to the next presentation. So thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You guys doing okay for now? I know it's a long night, but we'll just keep rolling unless we absolutely need a break. But maybe between this and our public comment period, we'll take a quick break. But you ready?
I'm ready. I
Okay,
guess.
George.
Ready's ever going to be.
Floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. Good evening. My name is George Forbush. I'm president of the Nevada Predator Hunting Association. I formed this association pretty much to counter advocate groups. That's one reason. And the main reason for that is I feel that they are coming in before this board and they're trying to take away a lot of things from us as hunters, and their facts just aren't quite correct. So that's one of the reasons why I formed my association. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. I'm a retired police officer. My whole entire career, I have had to face the public and the perceptions that they've had about law enforcement, and it became very clear to me in my career that a lot of people learned about law enforcement from watching Hawaii Five-0, CSI Miami, all those type of shows. So I've had to meet with citizens and correct them on what really is fact versus fiction. And as I've gotten involved in this, I've come to realize that a lot of the same things is happening here. So what I'm going to try to do is educate. I feel by educating the board, the public, and maybe I'll even educate people from the other side a little bit so that they understand this a little bit better. Maybe they don't feel it the way they do, hopefully. So that's my goal there. They have thrown so much at us though. You know, I feel like they've moved the goalpost. It's about the money, it's about the prizes, it's about wanton waste, it's this or that, no regulation, so on and so forth. So my presentation is going to be a two-part presentation. I can't do everything and address all those issues. I'm trying to do it within 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops. So I'm going to do a part 1 today, and then I'm going to do a part 2 when we meet in Elko. Okay, so that's my goal. That's the method of my madness here. Let's see here. Is this moving? There we go. All right. So the next few. Okay. So the next few slides, they're not about me. Okay. I'm using them. Obviously, they're my pictures. I have them. I'm using them as examples to let people know, to let this board realize that we're not just coyote hunters. We are part of this sportsman group. The people that are sitting behind me are online. They're chukar hunters, they're elk hunters, they're deer hunters, but they also partake in coyote competitions. And they also go out and they shoot coyotes and they shoot lions and so on and so forth. These people are the same people that go out and they buy tags, they participate in PIW, they buy the hunting licenses, they buy everything that they need to do to go out and hunt, equipment, so on and so forth. They're also the same people that go to the chukar dinners, NBU dinners, and they donate and they volunteer their time to make hunting better. They're kind of the backbone of hunting. And without them, hunting would go away. There wouldn't be a need for NDOW. There wouldn't be a need for the board. Hunting can completely go away without that type of support. And what I find troubling is the other side is trying to portray us as coyote hunters as being this outside source that is damaging the sportsman community based on some of the things that you see in social media. And I want everyone to understand that that's not the case. We are part of this community. So as you can see, you know, everyone does elk, they do antelope, whatever the case might be. They have kids, they hunt with their daughters, their sons. They come from all walks of life in the terms of they're business owners. They work for other people. They are just out there hunting and fishing, and this is recreational to them. And it's very important to them. And yeah, we do occasionally go out and we kill predators from time to time. All right. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the contest. These contests aren't advertised on billboards, on the radio, on commercials. There's not these big advertisements on it. It's word of mouth. It's through social media. It's because somebody's putting a flyer out at the convenience store or out on the grocery store, or maybe they're getting a follow-up email because they partook in the competition the year before. All right. As you know, currently there's no official season, and they can occur at any time during the year. Organizers are hosts of the contest and give contestants the location to hold the event and place to socialize after the contest. Most organizers are the bar owners. So what happens is they will go out and they'll put out the contest flyer, and then they will set up the raffles and the prizes. And then some of these bar owners may or may not contribute or participate in the contest. So we have some bars that are just hosts. They've literally just told people, hey, you can just have it here. And if people come in and they buy food or drink, that's how they make some of their money. They're not making any money off entry fees. Okay. Everything that they make is pretty much off of what they supply at the bar, whether it be food or drink. They really want that person that comes in and runs up a bar tab like any bar does. All right, let's talk about the prizes. I'm going to go into this a little bit heavier. So yeah, there's prizes. They range from belt buckles, plaques to cash. Most of the time it's cash. And there's prizes that come from raffles and auctions. And I think it's important for this board to understand that those prizes have nothing to do with any coyote being killed. It's somebody that goes in and spends $20, $30 for a raffle ticket because there's a table full of prizes, and they win those prizes because they drew a lucky ticket. No coyote was killed. It has nothing to do with any coyote being killed. But the other side is always talking about all these prizes. I don't understand where there's a problem because somebody wins because they drew the lucky ticket. And then that money goes to a fundraiser. That's where that money is going to. So when those people go and buy those tickets, that's normally for the fundraiser that host is trying to promote. Okay. On the tournament side of it, winners are ranked from first, second, and third, like most races that we've all grown up with. And the entry fees are split 50, 30, 20 or 50, 30, 10, 10. And the weight, the winners are basically determined by the 4 heaviest coyotes. Now, in the past, it was the most coyotes, but these competitions have got away from that. And the reason they've got away from that is because they found that there's a lot of teams that can't kill 4 coyotes. And what was happening is a lot of guys that are good at killing coyotes, and that's what they do almost on every weekend. I mean, they are just hardcore guys that go out and do predator hunting. They were winning. And it's kind of like watching the Super Bowl and watching the same team go to the Super Bowl every year, year after year after year. And at some point you're just like, God, well, somebody just beat these people, so we don't have to see this team anymore. So it got lowered to the 4 heaviest to give people more of an opportunity. And then I as far as I'm concerned, the 4 being the threshold is a far cry from the argument that I'm hearing that we're doing a slaughter. You have an animal that has no limit. No limit. And our threshold is 4. I think that's a good thing for us. That's how I look at it. And I want everyone to know that, because they make it sound like it's always about the most, and it's not. But we do have the side bets. So you have the largest coyote and the smallest coyote side bet. Those are paid out at 100%. So if you have, 6 teams put in, and it's $50 to put in, then the other payout's going to be $300 to the team that shoots the most. I think it's important to understand that when you're looking at the small coyote and the big coyote side bet, they make it sound like we have some type of way to specifically go out and shoot the biggest or the smallest. And that's not how it works. Okay. When you're out there and you're calling, and you put out your call and you set up, you have no idea which coyote is going to show up. You don't know if 2 are going to show up, one right after the other, so on and so forth. And you don't know if a small coyote is going to show up or a big coyote. And then even if one does, you still have to be good enough to get it. You may blow it. I had that opportunity. I can speak from experience. I miss. And if you miss, that coyote is gone. Okay. It's not something that you just go out and do, and every time you go on a stand, you're going to get something. But the point I want to make is it's all by chance. And I don't see that being any different than what NDOW does on, say, for example, promoting a mountain lion tag and harvest. Every year when tags come out, there's a pop-up when you're on the site to offer you buying a mountain lion tag. And we all know that people will buy that mountain lion tag hoping that when they go deer hunting and when they go elk hunting, they might see a mountain lion and have the chance to do it. And I don't see that being any different than in these competitions, because you can go out and you can put in for this side bet all the time and you'll never cash in. It's just opportunity and chance. That's all it is. Okay. It's not as if we are targeting these animals specifically as they indicate. Lucky loser. They talk about that a little bit, but they don't really go into it in depth. Lucky loser is the guy or gal that comes in and kills 0 coyotes. So you can kill 0 coyotes and walk away with money. I don't see, if they're talking about the cash and prizes, how is walking away with a cash or prize because you killed no coyotes a problem? They're making it sound like a problem because that fits their narrative, but that's not what's really happening. You kill 0 coyotes, you win money. The Calcutta. Calcutta, again, is another side bet that doesn't involve the killing of coyotes. You are literally betting on yourself, your own team. The Calcutta is based on an entry fee that is normally a little bit higher than the entry fee to join the tournament. And you can bet on another team. It just depends on which competition you join. But if, say, for example, I go to a competition and Russ shows up, and Russ is good at killing coyotes, and Russ, for whatever reason, decides not to put in the Calcutta. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, I don't think I could beat Russ. He always comes in with coyotes. I could bet on him. And at the end of the competition, when Russ comes in, and let's say he wins and he's first place, but because he didn't bet on himself, and I come in and I kill 0 coyotes, I win the Calcutta. So again, that's another example of how I'm winning money without killing anything. Now, if Russ bet on himself, yeah, he gets the money because he took first place. So there's different variables on how that stuff works. Okay. But again, they don't understand how the prize money stuff works and how it allocates. And all they're doing is demonizing it. And I don't believe that's a fair thing to do. What else? I think I covered everything there. So again, the Calcutta, the lucky loser, are not won directly by harvesting coyotes. All right. And the side bet for the large and small are by chance and opportunity. All right. I did a couple stats for 2023 as best I could to give you an idea as to how many teams are showing up. So you have Winnemucca Archers that had 36, Lucky Spur had 27, Save the Chucker had 24, but I think the event organizer said 30, so I apologize if I had that number wrong. Maybe I forgot it or misunderstood it. Wayside last year had 11, and Muley's had 51, and Shotgun Shootout had 33. Okay. The reason I'm showing you those numbers is because I'm trying to give you a breakdown on the numbers. And I could have used the Wayside, who had 11, to try to minimize the numbers here. But I tried, I don't have anything to hide here. I'm trying to show you guys everything and be transparent about it. These are the winning numbers that was provided to me. So for Winnemucca Archers, you can see they had 36 teams. And the way they set that up is it's $75 per team. So that came out to a total of $24.75. And then the breakdowns for first, second, and third were about the $1,200, $750, and $495. Big Coyote was $675, small Coyote was $700, most was $1,050. And then you can see the Calcutta. Now on Winnemucca Archers, on the Calcutta, they break it down to first, second, third. And that's $100 per team to join that Calcutta. And then Lucky Loser is $75. So if you came in and you killed 0 coyotes, you basically got $75 back. With their raffle that they do, they bring in roughly around $1,000 to $2,500 for their fundraiser. And that goes to Winnemucca Archers so that they can go out, buy arrows, buy targets, and do what they need to do so they can function out in Winnemucca. Okay. Muleys, as you can see, they had more people, more hunters. They do it a little bit different. So they're going to have more money because they do it by person, $50 a person. So with 110, they came out with 5,500. And then there's your breakdown for second and third. Now, Lucky Loser, somebody won $550 because they came in and killed 0 coyotes. Once again, 0. The big coyote was 1,050 and small was another 1,050. What's interesting is if you look at the most at the Muleys, they only had 6 teams put in. So one team won $300, as where Winnemucca Archers, it was 1,050. So you have these variables and you don't know why people are going to put in for what they do and what they're not. And the Calcutta, as you see, was $800. Okay. Muleys, again, donates proceeds from what they make at the bar on food and drink and bar tabs, so on and so forth, to other organizations. And I spoke to that event organizer, and these are what he told me he has donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, some Easter Bunny holiday function they have out in Elko, and the Nevada Outdoorsmen in Wheelchairs. That's money going to them. Okay. The prize money is basically dependent on what participants put in. Now, it's not from sponsors or corporations. And I think that's important because unlike other states, they do have sponsors. And they might have Cabela's or they might have Bass Pro. The competitions that I'm talking about here in Northern Nevada are pretty much the average Joe. These are people that work Monday through Friday and they will go hunt on a competition on that Friday or Saturday. Okay, there's no sponsors. The social betting aspect of this, I mean, people need to remember that this is Nevada. I'm sorry, I mean, we have gambling and we have betting all over us. Everywhere you go, you can't go out of a grocery store and not see slot machines. So betting is part of our culture. And I think that of all places, anyone is trying to say there's a problem with that, Nevada is not the place to do that because of our casino and our gambling and all our culture here. Okay. Hunters pay all these fees and equipment and travel costs before they ever even win one contest. And when they do win, it doesn't make up for what they put in for it. The reality of it is you lose way more than you ever win. There are so many teams that will go out looking like this. They're all excited. They're all happy about going. And then they lose, and they're these guys right here. Okay? And they're blaming each other. You missed. You forgot to load your gun. You let the coyote smell us. You forgot to do this. And it was like, okay, we'll get them next time. Type of a deal. That's what happens. All right. We support small business. And you've heard testimony here today that when we come out to these competitions, we are providing money for the event organizers based on the bar tabs and the food and drinks. Okay. They are then handing that money out for donations. And some of those donations are going out for school events, sporting teams, rodeo teams, so on and so forth, and go to anybody. The hunters support the local business in small towns by buying the gas, the food, whatever they buy at convenience stores and restaurants. And, you know, if you're going to get lodging or drag your own camper down and you rent an RV spot, that's where they're making, the town's making money off those people. Okay. One thing to remember here that's highlighted in red is 7 Nevada counties signed resolutions in support of coyote hunts because of the economic value. That's Humboldt County, Lander County, from what I understand, Lincoln County, 7. And we can get more and we can have them updated if we have to. The reason I'm pointing this out is when this went to the legislature, that's probably the #1 reason why the legislature said we aren't going forward with this, because of the economic value that's involved with these hunts. They realized the benefit and they realized the issues that would cause if they banned it. Okay. And I don't think this board thinks for 1 minute they supersede the legislature, but if the legislature has a problem with it, that's a problem for you guys. And I think you guys probably might realize that. The other issue that you have, well, let me back up. Here's an example of one of the resolutions. And it says in here, find the right one I'm looking for. The third one down, Lincoln County's economy and culture are heavily rooted in and dependent on the livestock and agricultural-based industries as well as outdoor-related industries such as hunting and fishing. On the 8th one down, I'm not going to go through all these, but whereas certain wildlife contests such as coyote contests complement the effort in predator removal, thus reducing other taxpayer-type funding or similar contributions. So there's a couple examples on why they support these contests. On 501-102 out of NRS, subsection 4 is the one that really sticks out to me the most. All of these apply. But number 4 contributes significantly to the economy of the state and the quality of life of its citizens. This is coming from the legislature. And this came out long before they started sponsoring bills to get this stuff banned. You also have NRS Chapter 233 that's going to require this board, if you change anything about this and propose regulation, it's going to have to take an economic impact study on small business. And I think you've just heard testimony that it will do that. And I think that's a challenge. It will directly impact and adversely affect businesses in rural Nevada. However, the adoption of regulations requiring a season, hunting license, or trapper's license will not have an adverse economic impact on small business and will bring additional funds to NDOW, especially from non-resident hunters who currently hunt our coyotes for free. Now, I'm going to show you a video. This video was from the 2023 legislature. And it's a conversation between Alexis Hansen and Howard Watts. Howard Watts was the sponsor of this ban. And I want you to take note about what he says about regulation, because we're going to go into that next. But I want you also to see how he flip-flops a little bit and takes back what his intent is on the ban. And got to remember to turn this up because I remember the volume was low. Well, let's just try this.
Would that, how about,
That's not loud enough, is it?
guys, gals go out?
That loud enough? It is? Okay.
In the truck and they're gonna go out and call in some coyotes just on their own. And they say, hey, I bet you $20 I can get 3. And whoever gets more. Does that qualify as an inducement? And then follow up to that is, we have a record book for, it's kind of a big deal when you have a big game animal that might qualify for the Nevada Wildlife Record Book. Is being in the record book, is that an inducement to take a trophy animal?
Thank you for that question, Assemblywoman Howard Watts, for the record. I'll answer your questions in reverse order. Again, first of all, with the definitions of covered animals, let's make sure it doesn't impact any sort of big game, any sort of fishing, any of those records, any of those types of contests or derbies. And again, those species are all pursued in a much more regulated framework, which is one of the considerations with the policy. As far as the other form of inducement, again, I'll certainly say that is not the intent, and if anyone would like to work with me on the language to clarify that intent, that that's not what we're envisioning.
That's the sponsor of the ban, who is reversing his direction in front of his colleagues at the legislature because that question was posed to him by Alexis Hansen. What Alexis Hansen is describing is what we're doing in our contests, in my opinion. And I think Howard Watts, with all due respect to him, probably might have realized that a little bit because, well, you saw the video. He changed his direction on that. And it's very hard for that ban that he was trying to go forward with covers so many things. And to be fair to him, he goes on to say it was to cover everything so people couldn't wordsmith some type of way out of it. Now, the laws need to be fair. If you're going to outlaw something, it needs to be specific. To just do a blanket, this is against the law type thing, you need to put in the work to make, like as what he's requesting, language change. Okay. So let's go into regulation a little bit, because he kind of suggests that all these other hunts or tournaments have a lot of regulations. We all have the same regulations, the basic regulations that you see day in and day out when you go hunting. You can't hunt without permission on private land. You can't shoot over a roadway. You can't have a firearm if you're under the 18 years of age out on your own. You can't possess a firearm while you're drunk. You can't carry one that's loaded or shoot from a vehicle. You can't hunt from an aircraft unless you have a permit from NDOW. And you can't night hunt in prohibited counties, and you can't shoot around congested areas. The only thing that separates us for some of these competitions, other competitions, is the license and the season. I don't see that being a big difference. It's just those two things, and that's what we're asking for. And again, we've heard the arguments before that you guys don't have any regulations, and this is kind of how we're trying to move the needle a little bit to come forward for a solution. What we don't have in regulations, we have in contest rules, and nobody ever talks about our contest rules. It's teams are pretty much limited to 1 to 3 persons, and they must hunt together. That's important. And the reason it's important is because you can't break up. So in other words, if you have a 3-man team, the rules state you need to hunt together on the same stand. If you decide to split up, one guy can go left, one guy can go straight, one guy can go this other direction, you could all call at the same time, and you're going to have more coyotes potentially come in, and it increases your ability to kill more. Okay. We're not encouraging that. We want you to all stay together. That's why it's limited to those 3 persons. Most teams are 2-man teams. We also require that hunters must abide by all laws, including county laws that restrict night hunting. And as we have said, it's a calling competition. You have to call them in. Okay. You have to take them by any illegal weapon, which is basically your rifle or bow, if you want to hunt with that. We have one competition, which is the shotgun shootout. And I wasn't really going to go into the fair chase thing of it so much today. That's for next time. But a shotgun, as you guys know, is not as an effective weapon, in my opinion, in most people's opinion, for long range distances. You're not going to shoot a coyote at 200 yards with a shotgun. So what this competition is about is they've actually made it harder, and it's shotgun only, and it's no slugs. It's just shot only. So it makes it harder for you to actually go out and hunt, and it's more challenging. And that's what the basis of that competition is. You can't trap coyotes. You can't bait them. That means that you can't sit over a dead cow and pick them off as they come in a competition, because it's a calling competition. You can't use decoy dogs to interact with coyotes to bring them in to shoot them, because again, it's a calling competition. And after you shoot a coyote, you have to do some type of video evidence, because they want you to prove that you killed that coyote during that window when the competition started. Okay. The coyotes need to be intact, no missing limbs or missing viscera to qualify, because it's by weight, and they don't want you bringing in half a coyote. You can't run them down with vehicles. I've seen arguments in the past where they're showing other hunters in other states who are running coyotes down with their snowmobiles. Okay. That is not part of our culture here in Nevada. And it is specifically in the rules that you can't run them down with a vehicle or an ATV or a snowmobile. Okay. And obviously you can't kill them from an aircraft at all, because it's, very difficult to do, for one. The late team entries, if you show up late and you're not there for the reading of the rules, they won't let you hunt. If you show up late at the end of the hunt, and if you have 10 coyotes, doesn't matter. They're not going to be counted. You're not going to win. You're disqualified. The competitions have judges, and they have judges there because, like any competition that has referees or umpires or anything like that, we have judges there in case there's something that goes into dispute, and they have the final say. Some contests don't allow sponsored hunters. Because again, like I said, this is for the average Joe. So if you're Jeff Nimnick, who has won the world, and you on The Last Stand, and you do podcasts, and you're just a very good coyote hunter, they're not going to let him participate. He could probably participate for free, but they're not going to let him win any money. Okay. And some of the contests, it's against the rules to dump your coyotes anywhere that might cause a negative reaction from the public. So in other words, you can't dump them on the side of the road or somewhere where the public is going to look at it poorly. All right, let's talk about recreational versus competition, because you got to remember, you just heard testimony from the other side. They come in and they say they support recreational hunting. So in recreational hunting, you can hunt over bait. There's no limit on hunters. There's no time limit. You can use decoy dogs, Goodyear kills. That's okay. You can run over coyotes. In competitions, that's not. The exploding targets thing, there are guys that will go out and they will recreationally go out and they'll shoot coyotes with the biggest gun they have. Okay. We don't incentivize that during competition because it's based on weight. And you're not going to come in with half a coyote and try to say, I got the smallest coyote to win any money. It's not going to happen. They have no rules, no bag limits, no removal of carcasses are required, and they can trap. And we don't have anything against trapping, but again, it's a calling competition, so trapping's not allowed. And again, they can use thermal, night vision, and electronic calls. So can we. All right. But we don't allow baiting. We have the 3-man team limit, the video evidence, a dedicated start time and end time. On recreational hunting, you can go out from Monday through Friday and you can kill as many as you want. But on our competitions, they're normally a day hunt only or 24-hour night/day hunt. And again, you know, we have rules. We have no bag limit, but our threshold is 4. And we bring our carcasses to the event. And we do the best we can to dispose of the carcasses by giving them to a fur bearer or disposing of them as best as we possibly can. The Lucky Spur is a contest out in Kingston. And I talked to Casey a while back. He's the bar owner out there. And he told me he was going to get away from doing the most coyotes that win a competition to the 4 heaviest. And I asked him what his numbers were, even in comparison for him running a contest, which is the most. And the most coyotes won was 5. It wasn't like 25, 26, something like that. It was 5. And then 4 took second, third, 3 coyotes took third. And the first place team, since they had 5, they also won the most side bet. 0 to 2 coyotes was the number that other teams brought in. They had 26 total coyotes, 27 teams. That's an average of less than 1 coyote per team. So if you look at those numbers, this is not a blood sport. It is not a mass killing as the other side is trying to claim. The North American model, it gets brought up all the time. So wildlife cannot be slaughtered for commercial use. This policy eliminates the trafficking of dead animals. Well, the prize money comes from participating hunters and it does not violate the North American model of wildlife conservation because coyotes are not being killed for commercial use. You don't have somebody that's coming in from a business that is saying, I'm going to pay you, the hunter, money to bring me all your coyotes so I can have your coyotes and take them and sell them for profit. That's commercial. That's the commercial side of it. That's not what's happening. So we don't feel we are violating that pillar. The second one, the reasons for killing of wildlife must be valid. Wildlife shall be taken by legal and ethical means in the spirit of fair chase and with good cause. I believe our rules support that. Animals can be killed for legitimate purposes, for food, for self-defense, and for the protection of property. Well, the rules of the tournament support the fair chase and ethical practices of the taking of coyotes. The taking of coyotes during contests is legitimate because it serves as predator control. Most of our guys are going out and they're hunting on ranches and they're killing coyotes to protect the livestock of the ranchers that allow them to come on there. And even if they're not on a farm or a ranch, it still has a benefit to the other type of wild animals that are out there. The next pillar is science plays a key role in managing wildlife. Decisions must be based upon sound science, such as annual population surveys and the work of professional wildlife biologists. There's no scientific data that supports coyote populations are threatened right now. Not even close. What you're hearing right now is opinions and public conjecture from the other side. And that's going to lead to bad policies. The last one, in keeping with the democratic principles of government, government allocates access to wildlife without regard to wealth, prestige, or land ownership. These guys that go out and they hunt coyotes, they are it's a blue collar sporting event. These guys are working Monday through Friday. They're working paycheck to paycheck, and they go out to these competitions with a little bit of money that they have, and they drop $20, $30 in pot, whatever it is to enter, with the hope that they can go out and maybe win, and maybe they will, maybe they won't, but they are predominantly going out to hunt for fun and socialize and mingle with their buddies, okay? These guys don't have the money. They're not rich doctors, lawyers, or entrepreneurs who have the ability to go out and join Canvasback Duck Club, the 6-man ranch, or pay trespass fees to go hunting, okay? And if you take this away from them, I believe the board is going to be violating this pillar. All right, let's talk a little bit about social media. Social media is probably the #1 issue that is driving this. You can see in this picture here, yeah, could he have done a little bit better? Maybe rolled the coyote over on the one that's sticking its mouth out, maybe covered up the blood. I don't know what the right answer is. You know, to many people, they look at that and they don't have a problem with it. To non-hunters, maybe they do. But we need to talk about social media, okay? I'm going to show you some slides and a video of social media that people have publicly been discussed about. And you need to understand, if you're a sportsman, you might not have an issue with this, but sportsmen need to understand that the non-hunting group probably does, depending on how you portray your animals that you harvest. So the guy on the left and the guy on the right were criticized heavily because they humanized the deer. And as you can see, one guy tried to make it look like they're smiling together, and the other guy on the right stuck a cigarette in the deer's mouth as if that was something cool. And you can read the caption above. The person that saw that was basically, I have zero use for these kind of hunters, okay? But this has nothing to do with coyote hunting. You have images of bad humor where people think it's not funny. This guy on the right, clearly, you know, he thought it was cool, put a fish in his mouth. The guy on the left, this is actually a still. There's a video, but for shortening time, I just did the still. He put his deer in the back seat or in the front seat of the Razor as if it's driving, loaded up on a car hauler, and he's driving down the freeway like this. Some people thought it was funny, other people didn't. This picture on the left did come out of Nevada. It's a young lady that has a severed chucker head and foot, and the non-hunter would probably look at that and question why that is being put on Facebook. I don't know why she put it on Facebook or why her dad did. I can only imagine that maybe that was her first chucker, and maybe the dad said, okay, you shot it and you killed it, you're going to clean it. And it was a learning moment for her. I don't know. Okay. But that's an image that a non-hunter would see. And that was from chucker hunting. This video on the right is a duck hunting video. And I definitely need to turn the volume down on this. How do I do this one again? Sure. Okay.
Well, a good dog on the ground's worth 3 in the saddle, no matter where you're from. Been many good dog was a friend to a man, but Sam was the greatest one. He was a hound of hounds, he was wonder of all walkers. He loved howling at the moon, he loved treeing that raccoon. Most.
Okay, so that's a duck hunter that took the time to go out and beat his duck with an oar and then attempt to wring the duck's neck, filmed it, put music to it, and put it on Facebook. That's stuff that's not taught in hunter's education. That's stuff that's taught that it can have negative implications for hunters because the non-hunting community will not look at that in favor, correct? But again, that's not a coyote competition.
Well,
this guy, well, I'll just play the video and you'll see what he does.
Tony, what are we doing? This here's the buck chug. I hate you.
I'm breaking up with you.
Oh, I break up with you too.
Okay, again, not a coyote hunter. So what's the point that I'm making? These people on the left who have been successful at banning competitions from other Western states have come to other policymakers in the past saying, you need to get rid of this because if you don't, the non-hunting community is going to turn their back on hunters. These bans that they have put into place have not stopped anything from going on social media. So I ask you, how is banning a coyote competition in Nevada going to stop these types of posts? There's clearly an issue with social media, and it's not just NDOW, it's just not this board. It is a widespread issue across America. You have Americans that are addicted to social media. You have companies that have to come out with policies saying you're not going to be on your phone while you're working. You have school districts that are telling their kids right now, you're going to have to put your phone in a little bag when you go to school because we don't want you on the phone. Everybody's on social media because everybody wants to get that attention. You have people that will play with guns and shoot themselves, and they'll still post the video. I think everybody else in this room would hit the delete button and probably go hide under their covers for a month and never come out, hoping that nobody would ever know. But these people have no shame because they want the thumbs up and they want the likes. And that's the problem that we have. It's not coyote hunting. All right. So how are we going to solve this? I don't know if I have all the answers. I have a suggestion, and that is that we need to continue on with continuing education. Okay. We have to probably get involved in some social media etiquette. And as I have written here, it refers to both the set of social and conventional rules of personal and business behavior online. It dictates how people conduct themselves on social media so that it remains respectful and respectable. I think that's the objective that we need to get to as a hunting community. I think the first thing you need to do is admit you have a problem and where it's coming from. This is a universal problem, and coyote hunters are not responsible for it solely on their own. I think you need to educate new hunters and under hunters education programs and discuss the issue and the lesson plans and test on the issue. I would like to see a little bit more done during hunters education. And I understand that the department, correct me if I'm wrong, has probably gotten away from a lot of personal classes and has gone more online. The problem with that is, look, we've all taken these tests where you got to memorize something just to get past the test. And what do you really take away from you after you take the test? if you can't take that important stuff with you and you're just there to answer the questions just to get that certificate or pass, you know, it's just a check the box type move. That's just how it is. A lot of people use that short-term memory file to remember what they need to remember. And then a month later, if they were to retake that test, they would have forgotten, probably got a bad score a month later, worse than the first time that they took it. I looked at the Hunter's Education booklet to kind of research this a little bit. And, you know, you really only have 2 little blurbs about it. That's it. Okay. Respect for non-hunters. Transport animals discreetly. Keep firearms out of sight. Refrain from taking graphic photographs of the kill and from vividly describing the kill while within earshot of non-hunters. Maintain a presentable appearance while on the street. No bloody or dirty clothing. That's it. I took my hunter's education class like in the late or early 90s. I've never had to recertify on any of that stuff. There are people that you have a commercial driver's license, you have to go back and take a test if you want to keep your hazmat endorsement. Everyone in their professional careers have to continue on with continuing education. But for some reason in our world in hunting, you can go take a class one time, pass a test, and you never have to display those ethics again. And I think that's what's hurting us. Okay. The other thing is you guys put out this publication and you always talk about the top 10 violations. It's in there over and over and over again. And it's in there because the game wardens have to go out and consistently or continuously cite people for loaded firearms. You know, I don't understand why we need to keep doing that, because a very good friend of mine lost his life 2 years ago because of that. I know Eddie, you're from Winnemucca. I don't know if you do Jason Franklin. He died because somebody put a loaded gun in a car and it went off when they closed the case and it killed him. Okay. So we need to stop doing stuff like that. But what I'm getting at here on this is I would like to see the department spend a little bit more time, maybe just add a page and talk about this issue. I think people need to keep seeing that. And the reason I think NDOW keeps putting out these laws is because for that same reason, they want people to keep getting that through their head. And I think that's the direction we need to go. And I also think groups like mine need to have this conversation. We need to, you know, I need to be able to go to event organizers and be able to talk to the hunters behind me and say, look, you know, it's your First Amendment right to post whatever you want, but, you know, this is how it's affecting us, and have those conversations. I think we need to do that. And so do other groups, obviously. Okay, let's talk about, yes.
How much longer do you have?
I'm wrapping it up.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to. My mouth is going dry. Okay, let's talk about banning contests. I don't think it's going to fix social media. All right. And I don't think it's going to solve the issues for you guys as managers and sportsmen and the public. Now, let's talk about what the advocates have not done. They haven't brought forward another solution other than a ban. Okay. They come out, they demonize us, and they solicit money from sympathizers to fund their causes. They move from state to state with these same exact arguments over and over again, and they use the political divide and they use the political field in order to get what they want. These coyote bans in these other states, like I've said before, haven't fixed anything. And the conversation about the bans has cost us money. You've heard people come in and testify that they're kind of getting tired of talking about it and they want something else being discussed. Okay. The people on the left want a ban, and that's all they want. All right. I don't know. That says it all. We're going to use the ballot box to stop all hunting. So with all due respect to Rebecca, that's from their former CEO. She says that's not their policy. That came directly from him. Okay. They're talking about money. This is a manufactured crisis on their part to make money. Their CEO made $600,000 in salaries and savings. They brought in $5 million for their executives. They have people making $100,000 in compensations, and they're putting on fancy parties. They're sitting on millions and millions of dollars on off and sending their money to offshore accounts. And the reason why I'm talking about this is you need to realize they aren't selling anything. They're not selling any goods, and they're not selling a service. They come in and they create an issue like trapping and the fur bearing issue and puppy mills. And for some reason, they've attacked us now, and they've demonized it, and they've created and manufactured a crisis. And now they are trying to get you guys to act on that. Okay. And they go out and they solicit for donations from their supporters to continue it. And Project Coyote is the same exact way. And they're getting paid. This is their job. And this is why this issue is not going to go away, because they're getting paid to do this, and they're going to keep coming back over and over and over again. And when they win, or if they win, they're just going to come back and try to take away lions or bobcats or some other type of animal. Okay. Tony, I love this guy. Missing his 2 front teeth. I'm sure there's a story. He looks like he needs a bottle of Head and Shoulders too. He's probably, I don't know the guy. He's probably a fun guy, but he's got some ethical issues. And if you don't want any more guys like Tony out there, I think we really need to work on the social media aspect of this. I really do. And Dave, I know you've been on this commission for a while, and I've got people to the right of me that said, I would never be able to come in here and unite us on one little thing. I'm going to disagree. I'm willing to bet that everybody watched that video was disgusted and probably did not like that. So I think I kind of brought us together just a tad bit. I don't know if people would agree with that, but if we want to continue down this road, this is the type of stuff we need to fix. So with that, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll ask questions if we have them. I do have a few, and then we will take a break, take a quick break and get back to our public comment and stuff. So Commissioner Booth or Commissioner Walter, did either of you have questions?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I do.
Okay.
Okay, George, and in all fairness, I actually forewarned George that I would be asking him some questions. I even kind of let him into those. I did not give Rebecca that same courtesy. I want to make sure people understand that. So let's start with the conversation. Look, I know that we're all trying to sell a product here, okay? But I'm not sure, the whole social media conversation, George, seemed more like a diversion than anything. I would agree with you that that things need to be cleaned up, that ethics needs to be discussed, that we need to clean those things up. But social media is not the problem. It's the fools that are posting that kind of nonsense to it. It's the wolf incident in Wyoming. It's the people running over coyotes in Nevada with snowmobiles. Those are the problems. And I would agree with you. The only ones that are wearing that are sportsmen. Sportsmen are wearing that, whether you like it or not, that you're the ones that are going to carry that burden from folks misrepresenting you. So I feel strongly about that. I agree with you, but just saying you can't post things doesn't stop the behavior. One of the comments that you made was, I guess I'm curious, how does prohibiting prizes and awards preclude someone from hunting coyotes?
How does it? I'm sorry, say that again.
How does prohibiting prizes and awards preclude someone from hunting coyotes?
I don't understand why you would go down that road when you allow the chukar hunters to win prizes. So it's a fairness issue. If you're going to eliminate coyote calling competitions, then in all fairness, you need to get rid of everything else. You need to get rid of the derbies. You need to get rid of the chukar tournament. I would even include that maybe the bidding on these high dollar tags, like the governor's tags that bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's a contest. You are government. And in order for government to operate fairly, you need to be equal. So unless you're going to take those other things away, you need to leave our stuff alone.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate the perspective there. So you're basically saying that these these contests are the same as a governor's tag when it comes to wildlife conservation, that they have the same benefits to wildlife? Is that what I'm hearing?
They're not exactly the same. I think that's kind of a, I don't think you're just describing my statement correctly. You know, obviously those governor's tags are used for, they have other benefits to NDOW, and we support NDOW. But I think the board and NDOW needs to realize that when we go out and we kill some coyotes, that is part of predator management. A couple months ago, I saw a Facebook page where NDOW posted these anglers who went up to Marlette Lake and caught a bunch of fish, because I guess there's going to be some dam work up there. And they caught some fish, and they were basically recognized for what they did. Now, I'm willing to guess there's thousands of fish in Marlette Lake, and all these anglers caught was 100 or so, but yet they were recognized for it. We go out, we kill a couple hundred coyotes in one weekend, and we're told, you're not doing anything. It's not part of it. It's not a management tool. You guys turn your backs on us, but yet fishermen can go up there and catch 60 fish to transplant, and they're recognized, and we're not. I don't see how that's fair.
Well, I could ask NDOW to respond on in respect to that, but I think one's more of a management tool because they're going to be working on a waterway on a what basically boils down to help me with the terminology, the egg stock for fisheries, and trying to make sure that that's maximized so that it's so that it perpetuates into the future. I think, I don't know that we'd all agree, but I would concede that hunting coyotes isn't necessarily detrimental to the population as a whole. Maybe there's an impact locally here and there, probably more temporary than anything. But I would likewise make the argument, and I think the department would probably get my back on it, that that you're not helping with predator control either. There's not a benefit to it. And in fact, there's a potential to actually exacerbate any problems that are out there just by nature of what coyotes do, just by their life cycle, by their tendencies, their nature when they get pressure put on them. So, so biologically, I haven't heard a lot of conversation about it, a lot of discussion on it, but maybe there's a time we can ask the department some questions about the biology aspect of it. I think that's been long established that probably not the biggest issue on the table. I will ask this. So, as part of the rules, I'm not sure where those rules come from. They're not statutory. They're not regulatory. It sounds like they're more self-imposed, I guess, for lack of a better term. But you'd mentioned no dumping, especially along roadsides. No dumping because you didn't want anything that could be perceived as negative by the public. Okay. And I think that's the crux of this whole issue myself. The public is telling you what they consider negative and what's offensive to them, yet we're not addressing that specific issue. And that has to do with the awarding and recognition for enumerated take. That's basically what's on the table. So that negative perception is being is still alive and well. Nothing's being done to address that. So why address one potential negative issue while not addressing the other?
Well, you got to look at the demonization issue. For example, look at that presentation. There's a personalized plate on there that says coyote hater or something like that. If I had coyote lover on my license plate, would they put that on there? No, because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Well, that last couple of slides, I would say, is a demonization of people that are proponents for a ban. So I maybe that shoe's, fitting on both feet here. I don't know, but you see my point there.
But they are adding a narrative to it. For example, are you talking about the undercover video that they did?
No, what I'm referring to is a rule that these contests have rules, whatever those rules are. I don't know how broadly they're applied or where they came from or if they're standard for all contests or just a few or just one. I have no idea. But there was a rule that there would be no dumping out of concerns that it would create a negative impression or a negative situation perception by the public. But the public is in here telling you that one of their biggest issues has to do with the enumeration, the awarding and prizes and awards for enumeration of take. But there's no proposal on how you're going to deal with that potential negative perception. And I'm asking why.
Well, because my position on it is it's still demonization. They are coming in and they are making that story. These are, and they're triggering these people in these responses to get that type of response. So that's why you have them coming in here. Okay. I don't think those videos that they post of us are, you know, in our favor, because they specifically post them in such a negative light that they are trying to bolster support to make us look bad. Okay. But what the event organizers are doing is they're trying to prevent that from happening. It's still what we are going out and doing. Look, the bottom line is when you kill an animal, it doesn't look pretty to the non-hunting public. And that duck video is a perfect example. Right?
Sure, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I concede that social media, or I will say, I still maintain the argument social media is the problem. If you have people that are going out and drinking a cocktail out of a body of a deer, that's disrespectful to the deer. I saw a video just the other day, somebody killed a deer and was riding it down a mountain like a sled. And that's on social media. Okay. So you have all these things out on social media that I think make us look bad, but I guess I'm not understanding your question, because
so how do those relate to people that are asking for change? They're not the ones demonizing you. That's being done by your cohorts, by people in your camp. That's not other people doing that to you. You know, I mean, I agree that those activities, and I appreciate that you've said that. You and I've had conversations about that, and I agree with you. I think you know, having more conversations about ethics and stuff is important. But I'm just trying to understand why the concern for some of the negative perception in one arena, but not in others. Not all the negative negative perceptions that are out there. There's a lot more than just seeing bodies of coyotes dumped on the side of the road. There's other aspects. And unless we work through those things, I keep hearing the word compromise. We're never going to compromise or even have a healthy conversation without understanding what the real issue is. You see what I'm saying?
So what I'm hearing is they just don't want us out there coyote hunting for the cash and prizes. That's the
So
one.
cash and prizes is what I'm hearing, but they've made their presentation. That's what I've been hearing this whole time, is that it's you know, and certainly they're going to run the gamut, just like sportsmen run the gamut. There are sportsmen that say, leave it alone, just leave us alone, let us do our thing. And then there's some over here that say, yeah, I don't care if we have contests or not, we should do away with them. We had Mr. Johansson make that statement earlier tonight. So you have the spectrum in, you know, from sportsman's standpoint, and that gamut runs the same for folks that want to ban. Some would prefer that it go further. Some prefer that it, you know, go where it's being proposed. And so I guess I'm just trying to understand why some negative aspects, why some things are managed, but others are not.
Well, look, I don't have all the answers, obviously. Okay, I'm not an expert on this issue, but what I can tell you is these guys are going out and they are hunting coyotes, and they're not violating any rules or any regulations. And that has been something that we've been accused of doing. The cash and prizes occur across the board with all these other competitions. So again, unless you're going to take them away from these other people, you can't take them away from us. Now, are there videos out there of trucker hunters shooting birds down, ground sluicing them, wringing their necks, putting them in their game bags, and putting on social media? I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I haven't looked for it. If videos like that surface, then maybe the people in the trucker tournament would be sitting in this chair and not me. Okay. the fact of the matter is, when you go out and you kill animals, we all want the perfect shot where you shoot an animal and it's dead and it doesn't suffer, but that doesn't always happen. And like that duck video shows, you're also taught in hunter's education that if you don't kill that animal the first time, with, you know, by the first means, you have to end its life as quickly as possible. And people are going out there and they are putting this stuff on social media and they're making us look bad. What my intent is to show you that it's not the coyote hunters that are doing that. It's a problem that is universal, but you keep coming back to the coyote competition stuff. Okay. And we as a group and as hunters and organizers try to take steps so that these people don't have any more ammunition to try to demonize us. That's why some of those steps are in place. This last year, Winnemucca Archers, instead of having the competition end at Raven's Bar, it went to a secondary location where if you didn't have any coyotes, you didn't have to go there because they were afraid of what they did out in Cold Springs with the undercover video showing up, someone with an undercover camera showing up and videoing something and making it look like it's something that it's not. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not.
I appreciate you having the conversation with me. I think, yeah. I'll get back to one more quick question here. I had a number of others, but I think some of those you've kind of addressed a little bit. So there have been studies, reports, surveys, scientific papers presented on why we should be concerned about these contests. And do you have any that you can present? I know that you've made some suggestions about the economics and things like that, but are there any? Do you have any studies, any reports, documents, or anything that you can submit to the committee so we can forward it on to the full commission?
On the economics or on
just on anything to support your position and your the comments during your presentation to this point?
No, all I have is what I testified to, you know, and as far as the take of coyotes, the numbers, I was going to provide what is given to me by these organizers in my part 2.
Okay.
But I don't have the time and the resources to go do studies and polls. And quite honestly, I don't think you should rely on polls. I mean, Kamala Harris relied on that just recently. It didn't work out well for her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, so what are we left with? Anecdotal and stuff. I mean, for me, I rely on the human dimension work. I always have. I've said that. You know, the North American Model for Wildlife Conservation supports the idea of social sciences as part of the equation, part of the consideration. I know people will disagree with that, but this is the document that's been put in place for to provide the boundaries or the sideboards for sportsmen to remain relevant and therefore have conservation of wildlife. And those are the, you know, based on the technical review, it's been a while since that was done, but those were things that were important considerations when it came to that North American model and sportsmen maintaining relevancy in the future. So I guess I'm done. I don't mean to beat you up, George.
Oh, you're not.
I did try to warn you that I had questions, and I even mentioned a couple of them to you so that you wouldn't be totally caught off surprise.
I'm just going to suggest that if there's surveys and research that you want, you have a complete wildlife management agency at your disposal with biologists that have the opportunity to provide that for you.
Well, we can certainly go down that path.
And that's something that I suggested a while ago when I spoke to the other side, but I was told by the other side that NDOW at that time, who was being run by another director, had no interest in doing that.
So there are surveys that were done specific to this agency. It was mentioned in the previous presentation. I don't know if that's relevant or not, but it was done specific to this, and it addressed the idea of killing contests. Is that relevant or?
Well, I don't think I don't want to start bad mouthing anybody, so I'm not going to go there. But I think under the direction of under the past director, that was not something that would have ever come out in our favor. I have a lot more faith in the administration that is sitting to the right of me now.
And I won't put them in that position today. I would hope that maybe they would make comment at an appropriate time, but we'll leave it at that. So any other, yes.
Yeah, you mentioned to George about the rules and regulations, and I think that was just possibly a standard one. But I had the opportunity to go to the coyote hunting contest in Winnemucca a couple of weeks ago, and they were very conscious of making every effort to keep it private. In fact, instead of going to a bar, they went to a private home so that they could alleviate any undercover operations. And also with the coyotes that they were killed, they had a trapper there that loaded all the coyotes into his own trailer so that he could utilize that harvest for personal gain. So I think the publicity of eliminating coyote hunting contests is out there, and to also witness it live, it was interesting. But also, every hunter that I talked to there, and a few of them I knew, were very conscious about doing it in an appropriate manner.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, we'll have opportunity to have conversation at some point in this process, but I guess I rhetorically, I wonder how hiding the activity or having it not a transparent activity resolves any of the concerns of the people. There was I had mentioned him before, Tom Beck. He was an avid hunter, sportsman, is a bear biologist out of Colorado, and he wrote he's written a handful of articles over the years, and one of them was had to do with he perceived that there were two. Let me find it here. Sorry, I'd written it down. Everything's kind of blended in now. Question I have is, when we're talking about these presentations and stuff, do you know, so the concern has been that you're dealing with people that are philosophically opposed to hunting, anti-hunters. Is that fair enough, or do you not see it that way, George?
I understand there's a non-hunting community. And I mean, I understand that there's a percentage of the population that is for hunting, and a percentage of the population that's absolutely against it, and everybody else is the middle.
Okay. So I guess what I'm asking is, what I'm suggesting is that folks are, you might have philosophically opposed folks behind this issue wanting a ban, but at the same time, there's certainly a number of folks that oppose hunters based on observed behaviors. You've even gone down that path a little bit. And so I guess another rhetorical question, what if you're dealing with people who are not philosophically opposed to hunting, just folks that are bothered by the behaviors and certain activities and stuff? So the idea that we're collecting money, prizes, cash, awards, that kind of stuff, is that people are trying to tell us that it's bothersome to them that occurs. I'll leave it at that. I'll let you respond if you have a response, but we'll move on to a break here when if you're done.
I think I pretty much covered it. I don't think you're going to get a different answer.
All right. No, that's good. I appreciate it. All right. Thanks, George. So anything else from the committee at all? Okay. All right. With that, before we take public comment, let's take about a 10-minute break. Appreciate everybody's patience and all right, we'll go ahead and get back into our meeting here. So we had stopped at the public comment period on agenda item number, lost track of the agenda, number 7. So we'll go ahead and I'll ask for any public comment in person here in Reno. Does anybody have any public comment on the presentations that were given?
Okay, there it goes. Yeah, for the record, Larry Johnson, I'm president of Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife. This is not a biological issue. It comes down to a social issue. And it comes down to a social issue that is seen differently in urban areas versus rural areas. Pure and simple. You've seen that from the testimony in 2 hearings. We've had a huge influx of population in Nevada over the hill from California. You look at the states that have banned this, guess what? Washington, Oregon, California, the west, the left coast, okay? The woke states. They see things a hell of a lot different than we do who live in rural areas. We may as well throw this up. Let's talk about late-term abortion if we're going to see differences in views. Why don't we talk about biological males playing on girls' sports teams as differences in views between those same groups, okay? This is no different. I resent this whole process. Sportsmen have been the whipping boys, whether it be trapping for decades, whether it be bear hunting, bear seasons, simple things like that, that should be cut and dried, have had biological science ignored. The proper way to address this should have been that petition that was submitted last spring should have been accepted or denied, have the process decided. They can't get this through the legislature. They can't get it through the commission. So what are we doing? What we're doing is we're grandstanding. It was improper of you, in my opinion, Mr. McNinch, to ever butt in and suggest that they not submit. You should have remained completely neutral in that. You have precipitated all of this. Much of the years of bear hunting controversy you spearheaded. Again, I'm tired of sportsmen being the whipping boys here. Okay. Nothing good has come out of it. We had false testimony from an individual say that his tax money makes the Department of Wildlife. 3% of NDOW's budget comes from the general fund. 97% of it comes from sportsman dollars. You improperly said that George should have listened to the public. It is you that should be listening to the public for all of these people from the rural areas who have gotten up here and support coyote calling contests. They're the public too. They're in the areas where the resource resides in our state. They should have some say on what happens in their backyards, not somebody living in downtown Las Vegas and Reno, and certainly not the Humane Society of America in New York City. What are we doing? Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Avi Stoker. I'm with the Winds Youth Sportsmen. I spent over 100 hours in conservation. We should not stop these contests for the following reasons. They help wildlife population. They bring more money to the state of Nevada. They are good for family gatherings. They save livestock and pets. We pay Endow to kill coyotes to they legally can't do anything but waste them. If I work hard to conserve wildlife, why would we do anything to stop a group of people doing the same? Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Xander Stoker, and I am a member of WIN. Last year, I was the Sportsman of the Year with over 200 hours on conservation projects. I help wildlife and work for the deer and birds in this contest, and I also help wildlife. We should not also coyote killed my favorite chicken, Sapphire, and some of my cats. Maybe if they were managed better, I would have not lost my pets. Thank you for your time.
Mel Belding, member of the public. First of all, I want to commend Larry Johnson for what he said, because it's about time it was said. It is very apparent, Mr. McNinch, that you are what side of this issue you're on, just by the questions that you presented to this side and the questions that you presented to the other side, the length of your questions, the tone of your voice when you're asking those questions. So it's very apparent where you stand on this. 2011, we had the bear hunt. About in 2011, we started talking about these coyote calling issues too. What the sportsman was told, same thing as they're saying now, we don't want hunting. We just don't like the bear hunting. The values of your house is going to go down. Visitors to Nevada is going to go down. The average price in 2011 of a house in Reno, Nevada was around $300,000. Fast forward to 2024, it's $550,000. So can we say that because we hunt bears and because we have calling contests, that's the reason why our real estate has gone up? That's the reason why we're so desirable for people to come here and recreate? Can we say that? I mean, they say that's going to go the other way, but it's went the other way. You will never question what the other person says on the other side. The biggest thing is money. I don't even think it's 3% that this department gets from the state funds. I think it's closer to 2%, but I could be wrong. Here or there, when someone says a false thing, it should be noted. You certainly did it to the man who had the coyote calling contest. You did that, but you wouldn't question the other side. It is biased. It's not fair that you're always telling us how bad we are, but not the other side. Thank you.
My name's Neil Cheney. I came up here from Pioche today.
So coyotes will kill whatever type of food presents itself or eat whatever food they can scavenge. They have some of the widest range of any animal in North America. They can and will eat anything. Removal of coyotes is necessary to allow every single species in Nevada a better chance for survival. The common sense approach would be to let it get handled for free by the sportsmen. Groups who claim to care about animals seem to have forgotten about every other animal but the coyote in this situation. But let's not mistake this for something that it's not. It's purely cultural bigotry. The anti-calling contest movement is an attack on our rural way of life. Most of us have been organizing and attending these contests for generations. They are no different than going out to a concert in the city or a baseball game. It is an attack on us and the simple fact that we are assembling together as an organized event isn't the right to assembly one of our constitutional isn't the right to assembly one of the constitutional amendments. I'd like somebody to be able to answer that. Talk about tourism. These tournaments are some of the greatest ways to draw people to spend money in rural areas. 7 counties already made resolutions in support of them. We've heard a lot of information today from both sides. Do we want to make decisions based off information Googled and researched by countless anti-organizations and brought forth after a couple of undercover investigations or from people who are in the field on the ground in these areas day in and day out, witnessing every year and every day the benefits that killing these coyotes has for wildlife? The calling contests are simply another tool that can be used consistently to benefit every other species of wildlife in the state. They say they won't harm big buck chucker contests. Then why use the terms wildlife killing contests and native wildlife killing contests? If the goal is just coyotes or even predator calling contests, then why not just say that? Why use the specific terms wildlife contests? And a point about moving the check-in at the hunt that you were asking earlier. It says right in the hunter safety handbook to try to be mindful of that and keep it out of reach or eyesight of the general non-hunting public if you can. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ron Stoker. I represent Wildlife and Habitat Improvement in Nevada. Me and my children got up at 3 this morning to be here at this meeting because we feel it's important to protect our rights. When it comes to coyote hunting contests, the biggest winner in Nevada right now is the SCPA that in recent statistics have killed over 3,681 canines this year. That's a 20% increase from last year. So they're doing a good job. The next one is Wildlife Services, then CARS, then Coyote Hunters, and then the contest. And so what's the real thing? It's this public sentiment, right? It's a public opinion on what they're doing is wrong. It's a moral opinion. And last time I checked, is the commission does not have regulations to appeal to moral opinions on what is right and what is wrong. In fact, like this commission is here to manage wildlife. And some commissioners or a commissioner is chosen to waste the public's time where I could be doing conservation. You have so many capable men in this room that could be doing other things rather than just going over this again and again and again. You know, like I wrote down some ideas while I was sitting back there of other ideas we could talk about. You know, we could talk about the mule deer population decreasing from 200,000 down to 40,000. We could talk about the dace that are endangered. We could talk about the impact of solar on the tortoises. We could talk about the sage grouse and the lithium plants. We could talk about the feral horse issue. We could talk about water development. We could talk about fuel loads and causing wildfires in the forest. But no, we're here. We're talking about coyotes. You know, we're talking about coyotes, a species that is so prolific that we can't get rid of them. You know, here we are again. We're talking about coyotes. But, you know, why are we wasting our time? We're wasting time and we're wasting money. We're wasting resources that could possibly be used to actually fix and manage the wildlife in Nevada. It's insane. It's insane. And like, if you think about it, some of the numbers you give is that 10 states have voted with us, right? That means we have 40. We have 40 that still have coyote counting contests. We have 7 out of the 17 counties that want coyote counting contests. You say that we're in a minority. You say that you speak for the public in this public opinion. Not correct. Because if it were so, we wouldn't have 40 out of the 50 states in the United States that still have these contests. We are not going to be the 11th state that this is taken away from. because it is a waste of resources. And being owning my own office and being a business owner, if I have an employee that is wasting my resources, they have to go, because we don't have time in Nevada to waste resources when we could be focusing on important wildlife issues. I was recently on the phone with Toby Urich. He's like passing legislation to get more water to guzzlers. Good. That's what we want our legislatures to do. We want them to work to maintain wildlife. That's what we want to do. We don't want our public officials to waste their time on issues that have no representation to helping the wildlife in Nevada, that are only for public opinion, and it's held by a small majority of people that like it and a small majority of people, minority of people that like it, don't like it. There's two minorities that like it. Every in the middle, like, you know, since 2011, I've probably done over 7,000 leases, and I've never talked to one person in Nevada that's worried about coming here for coyote calling contests. Not one, not one. And I've done a lot of leases and talked to a lot of people and sold a lot of houses. It does not impact Nevada. This is just their focus group issues and their fire issues, but they do not help wildlife. What else I got to yell at you about? I'm sorry. 3 factors that affect wildlife: food, water, predation. You know, let's focus on those, right? Endel focuses on all of them. I love Endel. Alan Janae's doing a great job. I love Joe Bennett. They're doing a great job. We've worked on, me and my kids, every other weekend we're on wildlife conservation projects this last weekend. There's a reason why they have 200 hours. It's because I make them come to everything. It's, yeah, poor kids. Endel is the organization with the highest cash payout for predation. Let's see. Sorry, I got 6 minutes. I'm going to try to use all of it. When we look at other neighboring states and their management issues and how they manage their mule deer herds, Nevada offers a bounty. Mule deer herds are up. It's because they focus on all 3 of the aspects: wildlife, or water, habitat, and predation. Why would you stop a group that's working with the predation? I mean, you have the argument that like it'll make pups more prolific. I don't know. That comes from a book that doesn't have a biological study behind it. I appreciate your time, but I wish I don't have to come up here at 3 a.m. to fight this issue with my kids. My kids, we could be doing goose nesting projects. We could be counting the poll on the turkeys. You know, we could be checking guzzlers, but no, I'm up here. I'm at a commission meeting talking about an animal that does not need to be managed. So I appreciate your time, and thank you for staying here till 8 o'clock at night.
Hi, this is Karen Taylor from Washoe County, and that's a tough act to follow. I only have 3 minutes, and I was going to say some things, but I feel like I need to say something else than what I was originally going to say. And I just don't understand why sportsmen are so defensive and emotional right now. I don't think that any of us are attacking them. I was actually going to make positive comments about the video from, and I'm sorry I'm using your first name because I can't remember your last name, George. And something I just don't understand. I'm sorry that you feel attacked. I personally have been on the end of Commissioner McNinch's attacks, and Joel was chuckling in the back of the room. It goes back and about 15 years ago during the Trapping Regulation Committee, and Commissioner McNinch was very direct, and he asked the same kind of questions that he asked George, the gentleman behind me. So I guess I don't feel like he's taking one side or the other. In terms of money, please don't go that route. Sportsmen take a ton of money from Safari Club International, from the NRA, from Sportsmen's Congressional Caucus, blah, blah, blah. All these outside groups, all these groups that are from out of state. So don't tell me that something from Humane Society, that we're working with outside groups. We're Nevadans. I've been here since childhood. I fished here. Don't tell me that I don't know about the rurals. There's some things. I was talking to a gentleman before. I've never seen out in the hallway. I have not seen a sage grouse in Nevada. I'm sorry. I have to admit that. I haven't. So there are some things that I don't know. You're right. I've never seen a sage grouse in Nevada. As many times as I was taken out by my stepfather to go enjoy the rurals. I come from a hunting family. So please, please stop going that route of residents, money, and who's done more work for wildlife. The people that were sitting around me that left, had to leave early. They went to another conservation meeting. They have other things that they're doing, and they are on boards for conservation. They give money. They're doing seed. I was part of a reseeding effort from the Davis Fire. I mean, I could go on and on and on about what we contribute. The bottom line is I'm tired of destruction of wildlife that belongs to me. And I'm tired of that happening on public land. And I'm tired of it happening by people from out of state who come here for fees. I guess I don't understand why some things, although the video was excellent by George, he did take some stuff out of context. I was there during the Watts Hansen interaction. That video was taken out of context. And then also a couple other things I wanted to say before my 3 minutes ends is that it's hunting or it's not hunting. Sportsmen talk about two different things. Coyote killing contests are hunting. Others are saying it's not. I think we need some definition. Thank you.
Yeah, we got 2 microphones here, must be double loud. Joel Blakesley, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm speaking on behalf of I'm a lobbyist for the Southern Nevada Coalition for Wildlife. I want to share a couple of legislative experiences because this has been heard in the legislature and it might enlighten you on what went on down there. I had a conversation with the chairman of the committee and I said, she said, what is it with you guys that you have to do this? I said, you know, Leslie, I said, you can go out any night you want and eat any kind of food you want in 10,000 restaurants. You got the Knights, you've got the Raiders, you've got comedy clubs, you've got karaoke clubs, you've got gambling, you have everything in the world available to you. I said, go up to Pioche. There's one restaurant. You either get the cheeseburger or the chicken fried steak. I said, there's 4 things those people do up there. They have their church, they have their high school football games, they've got their bar, and on the weekends they go out and they go hunting and fishing and trapping. I said, it's a cultural thing. That's what those people do in Pioche. Now, I understand you don't understand that. I said, there's a divide in this country. There's a reason that there's country music. It's a cultural thing. I said, and I'm going to say something that's really ugly right now. This is cultural bigotry. Look up the word bigotry. That's what this is. And I want to finish with one other short experience I had down there in 2019. Everybody told me that session that we were going to get massacred. Well, I went in and I got the vote that swung it over. And she told me, she says, you know what, Joel? She says, I've been in the legislature for 10 years now, 5 sessions. And she says, you're nothing but the perennial punching bag. And she says, I'm sick and goddamn tired of it. She says, I don't agree with trapping and hunting and stuff. She says, I don't really like it. But she says, we've heard this and we've heard it again and we've heard it again and we've heard it again and then we've heard it another time. She says, I want to be done with it. She says, we don't need to hear this again. I've defended trapping 15 times in the last 23 sessions. I've sat in front of this board probably hundreds of times now, and we've heard the same thing. We don't have a petition on the table. I said that earlier. This is nothing more than it's a witch hunt. It's stand us up and tell us how rotten we are. Well, you know, I've heard it for 45 years. The first time I went to the legislature was 1977. And here I am again. This is new to a lot of people, but it's not new to me. And I'll just tell you what Maggie said to me. She says, I'm sick and tired of it. She says, if it gets out of committee, it's got to go to Ways and Means and I'll kill it over there. But that's some legislative experiences. And that underscores what I'm trying to say here. We've heard this before. We don't need to have this. If we don't have a petition on the table, let's be done with it. Thank you.
Bryce Screen again. I just want to address a few claims made by the antis. So we've heard the repeated claim that killing contests are not an efficient wildlife control method. If that's true, then what is an efficient method of removing coyote populations? If this were true, why does Nevada dedicate a certain budget each year to helicopter hunting and trapping coyotes in problem areas? McNinch, you even said that we aren't helping, but there's an allocated government fund for coyote depopulation. Look it up. Nevada Department of Wildlife Predator Management Plan, fiscal year 2024. On page 16, it says, Project 38, Big Game Protection Coyotes, USDA Wildlife Services and private contractors working under discretion of NDOW will use foothold traps, snares, fixed wings aircrafts, and helicopters for aerial gunning, calling, and gunning from the ground to remove coyotes in sensitive areas during certain times of the year. The gentleman in opposition over Zoom earlier even admitted that the Wildlife Commission kills about 3,000 coyotes a year. Who knows if that's true? Obviously, it must work if our own Nevada Department of Wildlife is employing their own control methods. Opposition is simply taking the right from the people and giving it only to the government. What coyote competitions do cost the government nothing and is arguably more effective than any government methods when you add the numbers up. We also heard the claim these contests disrupt the natural ecosystem. Well, which one is it? These two claims are logically inconsistent. These competitions can't simultaneously be inefficient coyote control methods while also causing a strain on the ecosystem because of a lack of coyotes. But this is our opposition, willing to claim anything to remove our rights and slowly deplete us of our freedoms. School shootings, unemployment levels, home prices, is this the best they can do? I mean, our opposition has claimed that studies show these contests don't really do anything to the population. Are we going to listen to these supposed studies or actually listen to those living among the coyotes, like the gentleman with the ranches who spoke earlier, or the people in our town who say that there's a clear, measurable difference in coyote-related incidents after hosting a local event? They've also claimed that one of the most shameful aspects is the monetary reward. How can that possibly be? As George said, social gambling is completely legal in Nevada. Why should the gambling capital of the world ban gambling for wildlife competitions? That is also inherently contradictory. The opposition has also claimed that they will stop here and that this is all they want. They just want to ban the competitions. Again, this is untrue, not only because they have said so on the websites and are openly anti-hunting, but because this is observable in history. In 2014, California was the first state to ban coyote hunting competitions. Only 5 years later, in 2019, California banned fur trapping. Why only ban coyote hunts but not chucker contests? Is it because coyotes are cuter or bigger? What standard are the opponents appealing to? Why only ban coyote competitions and not coyote trapping? Not to mention the kind lady in the purple knows a lot of wildlife statistics for someone who only wants to ban betting money on coyote competitions. Do not believe a word Rebecca says. She is lying to your face. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Adams, and I am just a mom. I come from rural area of Battle Mountain, where we do have the coyote hunts, and I do see the benefits of it. I have recently moved to Sparks, and on my phone daily, multiple times a day, there's notifications of the coyotes in our neighborhoods, chasing our children, eating our dogs, attacking people, walking their dogs on leashes, doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I just don't understand how the people would want to protect such a gnarly animal. That's it.
Any other public comment in Reno? Okay, seeing none, we'll go online.
The person identifying as Pace, could you unmute yourself and speak?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Pace Saxton. And I was actually supposed to put on a presentation after George at this deal, and unfortunately I come down ill and wasn't able to make it. So I'm going to present mine at the Elko deal, but I got one thing to say specifically to Mr. McNinch. When you were questioning George, you said, we all know what happens to coyotes when they're overpressurized. Well, what happens to the coyote when there's too much competition for a food source? I just want you specifically to YouTube coyote attacks toddlers. The first 3 videos that come up of coyotes attacking a toddler are in 2 different states that have already banned coyote contests. And that's all I got for now. I'll save the rest for the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Fred Volz. The subjective emotions on display tonight from proponents of mass wildlife killing based on nebulous economic development claims, family bonding, unregulated gambling, and prizes are mere rationalizations for substantially disrupting Nevada's ecosystem with no concern for or remediation of the damage inflicted. There is no management plan buttressing these mass wildlife slaughters. There is no supporting objective science submitted by mass wildlife killing advocates that their activities positively contribute to the perpetuation and health of Nevada's wildlife. The absurd premise that all hunting is at risk unless these mass killing contests are allowed to continue defies the reality that when the Wildlife Commission sets hunting seasons using questionable population guesstimates and sketchy science, each one of them could be challenged for lack of sound ecosystem justification. That broad opposition simply doesn't happen toward hunting seasons, and those making such assertions clearly haven't attended many or any season-setting commission meetings. It is unconscionable that the Department of Wildlife, whose sorry record shows them as advocates for its licensees only, not the general public it is also supposed to equitably represent, has chosen to remain neutral on this issue. It is not as though the legislature is telling them they can't weigh in on a piece of legislation. By refusing to take an official stance, NDOW is not doing its job, but succumbing to fear that its licensees might not approve of an objective analysis based on true science and the actual precepts of the North American model of wildlife conservation, not pursuing popularity with its licensees. If NDOW management refuses to do the work on this subject, then it should seriously consider terminating its biologists. Their primary job is to impartially analyze and conclude what is best for Nevada's wildlife and make cogent recommendations in wildlife's best interests, not irrationally protect mass killers' subjective desires. Let's remember there is no universal, unfettered right to hunt, trap, or fish in Nevada. It is a privilege that can be revoked if the facts and circumstances warrant it. Wildlife belongs to all Nevadans, not a small subgroup that wants to obliterate it in a defined geographic area. Mass wildlife killing contests are the antithesis of ethical hunting and sound ecosystem stewardship. Licenses and seasons won't change that reality. And I would ask that these comments be added to the record of the meeting verbatim.
Fred?
Hi, my name's Al Morris. I am the only four-time world coyote calling champion along with my partner, Garvin Young. And just hunting coyotes alone, I've put 3 girls through college and done a lot of awesome things that I wouldn't have got the chance to do if I didn't go to the World Coyote Calling Championship in Elko, Nevada. The rich tradition and the pride that men and women have had for hundreds of years. The only reason there is a North American wildlife model is because people like myself go out and hunt these predators. It was the trappers that came to this country first. It was then the farmers and ranchers that entered these valleys, and they needed people that would come and take care of the predators. Now, you just heard a guy tout sound biology. I'll tell you what sound biology is. It's hunting coyotes relentlessly, unfettered, and the contest is his contest calling is the least of the worries of a coyote out there. And the money that is spent pursuing coyotes, hunting coyotes every year in Nevada is a lot of money compared to what these contests generate in all these towns that have restaurants, gas stations, motels, hotels. The contest hunting tradition is rich in Nevada, and I'm embarrassed that the Nevada Department of Wildlife is not supporting hunting these contests in everywhere they want to pop up in Nevada. It is such a rich tradition. And I say follow the money. All you have to do is follow the money. Project Coyote has spent, they have $24 million in the bank, and they will spend all of it to take away this rich tradition called contest hunting. And the people that contest hunt are good people, great people. And you, as the Nevada Department of Wildlife, need to support the people of Nevada, the people that come from out of state, and support these communities, this rich tradition that was fostered and grown in Nevada. And it'd be a shame if you, the Nevada Department of Wildlife, doesn't support that. Thank you for your time. And I hope that you will see that good management is managing coyotes in all forms, and the contests are just one of those forms.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is Irene Payne for the record. Firstly, I would like to thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I'll keep my comments brief because it's getting late. I would like to say just initially how shocked I was by the comments made by the gentleman who spoke just before the break. He blamed social media. He made it political and made it personal by attacking the Humane Society. And there's also been some personal attacks to the gentleman behind the top table. That seems wrong to me. Having a meeting like this is not a waste of time. We have to have a conversation, many conversations about these killing contests, which, to be honest, are an embarrassment for our state and do not reflect who we are as a state. Ethical hunters want nothing to do with them, and our citizens are absolutely horrified when they learn that these so-called contests actually happen in our state. Our wildlife should be conserved for all of us, for every single person in this state, not for a minority who seemingly get a thrill out of killing animals. I really do think we have to continue to have these conversations. And at the end of the day, we have to stop these violent, unethical wildlife killing contests. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
There are no other hands up, Chair.
We will bring it back to the committee. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee?
No, thank you.
Okay, all right. A lot to be said, but I'm not going to do it tonight. So with that, we will close agenda item number 7 and move on to agenda item number 8, future committee meetings and agenda items. Committee Chair Dave McNinch, the committee will take action to determine future committee agenda items or meeting dates, times, and locations. I think very briefly about the only date that the three of us came to agreement on was January 14th. That's a Tuesday, I believe. And the idea would be to have it in Elko. We'll bring this up with the, so I'm asking you to mark that off tentatively on your calendars, if you would, please. We'll provide our report tomorrow to the commission, and we'll see where they want to go. I think I'll leave it at that for tonight. Are there any questions from the committee? Thinking no. Okay, it is an agenda. It is an action item, so I will take it out for public comment. Is there any public comment in Reno on future committee meetings and agenda items? Okay, how about online? Okay. With that, we will, did you have something that you'd like to add, Alan? Are you good? Okay, all right, all right.
I'm sorry, Chair. We do. If people wish to make a comment, could you please keep your hand up when the chair asks for your comment? Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, for the record, Fred Volz. I'll just add one comment to the announcement of the meeting. We've had
Fred, I think we lost you.
Mr. Volz, could you unmute yourself again, please? Thank you. Go ahead. Mr. Volz, you have the microphone. Mr. Volz, just once more, you have the microphone. If you could make your comment, please.
Hey, Fred, we're having a hard time. We're not hearing you on this end. Are you able to, does he have his hand raised now still? Yeah, Fred, so we, apparently you're muted on your end. If you could unmute your, on your end so we can take your public comment, please.
We could certainly hear from him tomorrow.
Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on. So we're having some kind of technical difficulty. We're not sure what that is. So, are there any other, Linda, comments on?
Mr. Volz has his.
I'll try it again. Hopefully you can hear me this time. We've got you. Fourth attempt. Fred Volz for the record. The problem we have had with NDOW and arranging these meeting sites is that they have not consistently offered Zoom video access to all people in the state. And for this January 14th meeting in Elko, hopefully a location could be selected where that's not going to be a problem, and we will have clear, reliable access for everybody in the state who is interested in attending. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Volz. And I think that the intent is to find the facilities to accommodate that. I know that it's high on the department's list, so they're aware of that. Okay. So no further public comment. We'll move on to agenda item number 9, public comment period. Persons wishing to speak are requested to sign in. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the committee at this time. However, the committee may consider items brought up to be scheduled on a future committee agenda. Is there any public comment in Reno? Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? Robin Orloff here. Nice to meet you all face to face. I'm a little overwhelmed by all the information that was presented, both sides, and certainly looking at both sides of it. I'd like to thank specifically Chairman McNinch for this meeting and for the meeting on September 26th. I think it's a really controversial subject, and I appreciate the fairness and the invitation to the Predator Group as well as the Humane Society. I've been in Nevada for 38 years, and I want to respond to some of what's being said. I might live in Carson City, but I spend all my spare time with my husband out in rural Nevada. That's why we moved here. Caliente, Pioche, Pinaca, Beatty, Austin, up and down 50, 375, 80. We get as far out as we can in our 4-wheel drive to get away from everybody. And we love Nevada. We love the ranch land. We love the wildlife. And I find that there's so much economic opportunity in these little towns, these little cab towns. The restaurants are great, the little restaurants. We dirt bike. OHV is a huge ecotourism, ghost towns, hot springs, looking for rocks, geocaching, hiking, hunting. There's so much that these little communities have to offer, and each one is trying to build their culture, both their, murals like in Ely and just building their historical culture, their cultural culture, that there's so much to offer and there's so much economy, I think, that can come to them, not just the killing contests, the coyote killing contests. I grew up and I've lived with hunters. I still am with hunters that blacken their faces when they go out, and they keep their clothing separate from their cooking, and they go out into the wilds and they watch the animals they're going to hunt for months and months. We go out and backpack to watch them. And those to me are very ethical hunters. I have concerns about stopping social media. I think social media is important. I think we all need to see what's going on, and maybe as a committee and as a NDOW, we can all try to present a more ethical way of hunting and treating the animals that we are so fortunate to be able to have in our state. I rescue bird dogs. I'm not against hunting. I adopt my bird dogs to people who hunt birds because that's what these birds want to do. I might suggest with the ranching that perhaps they consider livestock guardian dogs, Great Pyrenees, Armenian Gamper, Kuvaz, to guard their livestock. And maybe, anyway, I have more to say, but I'll try to say it tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment in Reno? Okay, seeing none, is there more online?
Go ahead, Mr. Gonzalez.
Well, good evening, everybody. I am one of the participants of some of these contests or organized hunts that go down in Nevada.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you give us your full name? I didn't catch your first name.
Richard Gonzalez.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Like the lady before me, I travel through Nevada quite a bit and actually participate in these contests or organized hunts, as we like to call them. What I don't understand is why the anti-hunting group doesn't seem to call out NDOW and their contract helicopters, and they just seem to come after the calling contest. It doesn't make any sense. We're offering a free tool to Nevada. I also hunt Utah, Idaho, Arizona, Montana, Canada, and we provide a free service, and it's a skill and a trait that takes years to learn to call these coyotes in. They adapt to everything we do, day or night, and it's a continual process for us to learn. So we put in a lot of time and money into these hunts. It's dirty work that someone has to do. We support big game. If you like 200-inch deer, thank a coyote hunter. If you like big elk, thank a coyote hunter or a wolf hunter. It's what we do passionately, respectfully. Mr. McNitch, I didn't like the fact that you wanted to point out that we were trying to hide a contest. We were actually taking more respect to the anti-hunting world and just doing it in a private area. So I'm glad that someone else brought that up as well. I'm tired of seeing this come up. I'm from out of state. I live in Utah, and thank God somebody in Utah wrote a bill of hunting rights for our state. And I really, really hope Nevada comes through and does the same thing. Again, to see NDOW push this issue once again, it's embarrassing to see this for sportsmen. We bring so much money, time, value, and protection to livestock. So please, please don't let this go through based on emotion. It's all it is. It's driven and the wokeness in this world. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. With that, okay. Hey, if you want to make public comment online, get your hand up now. How many hands do we have? 2 hands. Last warning, last call. 2 hands are up. That's it. Unless there's another one that pops up right now. That's it? Okay, the 2 hands, that's it. Thank you, Linda.
Go ahead, Mr. Richards.
Yes, my name is James Richards. I am a lifelong resident and hunter in Nevada. I reside in a very rural county with very little wildlife. Mule deer, antelope, any of the small game bird species. I've dedicated about the last 15 years of my hunting career to coyotes. This year, I have seen a major gain in the coyote population around here, which is absolutely detrimental to our wildlife. A lot of people that have been talking tonight are talking about livestock and everything else. This being an NDOW issue, I feel like our native wildlife are also an issue that coyote hunting absolutely addresses. Earlier, everybody was kind of talking about the science behind it, and there's no data or anything like that. It seems like everybody in the room has kind of forgotten the citizen science. So citizen science is people in the field doing what we do. We're out there every day that we can be out there. And I can see firsthand the drop in all of our wildlife, bighorn sheep, antelope, mule deer, birds, like I said. As a coyote, I feel like I'm a steward of the land. I try to take as much care as I can in removing coyotes in particular areas in our county. And so far, I know they're popular everywhere around the state right now, but our chukar population and our quail population in particular areas of my county are seeing outstanding numbers right now because I've dedicated the last 3 years of killing coyotes out of that. So you may not see the hundreds of $1,000 science-based surveys out there from the hunting side of it, is because we're too busy hunting. We're too busy trying to take care of our landscape. So yeah, predator hunting is certainly needed. The contests are a great tool, especially for the local areas that they're held in. Then they may not be a lifetime management tool, but it's certainly a short time, relieves the pressure off of the wildlife in those areas. And if you're out in the field, you can actually see the effectiveness of it. So yeah, we're totally pro keeping those around, especially around in this area. Like I said, I've lived here my whole life and I've never received a survey. But if I did, it would certainly be for, keeping them around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, no other comment.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, we will stand adjourned. And I do appreciate everybody's time. I know it's a big ask and I know the commitment, and I do appreciate everybody being here. And I really appreciate your civility tonight, particularly to each other. So thank you.